Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Twisted Tragedies, where we follow all the twists and turns wherever they may lead. I'm your fearless leader, Elise, and we're gonna debunk some conspiracies today. And we're also gonna not forget that there's a man who died in all of this that seems to be forgotten. Officer O'Keefe seems to be forgotten in this whole giant mess, and I don't know what happened. My mouse was being funky, so hold on. But I think Officer O'Keefe has been lost in this whole thing. And it's not okay, right? Like at this point, like someone's on trial for his murder, but yet he's rarely ever talked about. And I think that needs to change. So today we're going to debunk some of these conspiracy theories and we're going to talk about John, because John deserves to have a voice, even though he can't be here with us. And I think it's important. I just sent out links to everybody who usually joins me, just so everyone knows. Brie, I sent you one too, just in case. But John sort of just gets forgotten in all this. Like, he just gets forgotten. Like, this is what the trial is all about, people. Officer O'Keefe dying in the cold on that lawn by himself. And we hear nothing about it. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about him. Like, why not? Why not? Like, this is the person that everyone wants justice for, yet we don't sit and talk about John and his life, who he was as a person, the type of guy he was. He loved his family dearly. John was very much a family person, and he loved his friends just as much. And his friends were an extension of his family, which at least me and John have that in common, right? Like, at least we have that in common, because both my friends and my friends are my family, because they are the closest thing to me. I don't have a lot of living family left. So it's my chosen family, right? Like, and I help my friends as if I would help any family member. Like, John was a good person, and no one ever talks about himself. It's just always tied to Karen in the case, which obviously, for obvious reasons, like, he had those kids for 8 years. I don't know if you guys know that, but 8 years he had his sister's children. 8 years. They called him their funkle. And I've said this a few times, like, it lovingly called him their funkle, their father uncle, because both of their parents died in a very short period of time. It was months. Their mother was sick. The father passed away of a heart attack. And these kids were left with no parents, just like that. And they were very little. And John had no hesitation of taking that on. That's a huge responsibility. One kid's a huge responsibility for someone who has no children, never mind two. And he was like, nope, I'm doing this. Like, I'm doing it. And he did for 8 years. Then these children lose their funkle. And what would happen if Peg or Paul didn't step up? Like, these children are very lucky to have the O'Keefes as their family. They're very, very lucky. But what they're not lucky on is they've lost the people that they care about the most. And just the kind of person John was. Like, he took them all, not just the kids, but his friends and friends' kids, to Skechers or Nike. I forget if it was Nike or Skechers, but he had like a 50% off coupon. So he bought everyone sneakers. Everyone got sneakers. Like, everyone got sneakers, because that's the kind of person that John was. When Dylan crossed through his yard and he was like, hey, kid, don't cross through my yard, where they made the whole never cracker thing. Like, Dylan went home like scared because he was little, and told his mom, who then I think called Jen, and Jen called John, was like, hey, Dylan came home, and like, John felt awful because he was just kidding with the kid. He went out and like was like called and was like, "Hey, what's the kid's favorite candy? Like, what's his favorite candy?" Like, and went and got that bag of candy and walked down there and was like, "Hey, I was just kidding, kid. Like, I was just kidding with you, kid." Like, John clearly was a person who didn't want anyone's feelings to be hurt, right? Like, he went out of his way to make others happy. And that speaks volumes of a person. Because what does John gain out of that? As a matter of fact, he's not. He loses, right? Like he loses money and time, and still he goes out of his way to make sure that other people either are having a good time or are happy. Like that speaks volumes about the character of a person. Um, if you're just doing things to help, like and you're either not gaining or you're literally losing in some way, and you're still doing it, like that's clearly the type of guy John was. And I feel like John gets lost so much in this whole circus, right? This circus. Like, yeah, he sure did step up. Like, yeah, stand up, dude. I've heard the same thing with his sense of humor, that he had a great sense of humor, that he could make people laugh around him. And people are always smiling and laughing around him. Like, those are the things that should be remembered. And I feel like those are the things that get lost. They just get lost. And that's not fair to John. It's not fair to those kids. It's not fair to the O'Keefes. Like, yeah, there's a trial. We know this. And we're going to get into some of that a little bit on some of the ridiculous things that I keep seeing that are like been debunked forever ago. Right. Funkle John. Like, so cute, right? Like, Funkle John. That's what he was. He was Funkle John. Like, he took on a Mount Everest for a kidless bachelor. And he did a great job. Like, it's that simple. He did a great job for all intents and purposes. Like, he did everything he could do in his power to make sure those kids were taken care of and had everything they needed or wanted, and was teaching them how to be responsible, self-reliant people in the future. And they didn't just lose one parent in a tragic way. They lost three. Three. Like, I know how hard it is with my dad. Now everybody knows I have two dads. So I have a biological that I didn't meet until I was 18, who is very sick right now. And I have a stepdad who adopted me when I was between 4 and 5, and was dad my whole life. Taught me how to tie my shoes and ride a bike and fix cars. And he was funny and happy, and he read us stories. And even when my parents split, my dad didn't have to come and get us, me at least, and my sisters and brothers, but he did. Like, he never treated me as if I was anything other than his oldest daughter. And I was never a stepkid. And so for me, like, just losing him to suicide when I was 21, like, that's still difficult to deal with today. Like, we had a placeholder at my wedding where we just played one of my dad's favorite songs, like in place of the father-daughter dance, like, because he couldn't be there to have that dance with me. And I know what it's like to lose one parent in a tragic way, never mind three. And those kids are so young. I was 21 when I lost my dad. And I lost my grandfather before that, who had basically cared for me like a dad as well, to pancreatic cancer. So it's not easy losing the people that you care about, but these children were so little, so young. They're still young. They're kids. And you've now lost three caregivers, three people that you loved and cherished, your parents and Funkle John. And John's name is said often, but it's never attached to who John was, right? Like, it's attached to the case and Karen. But we never talk about who was Officer John O'Keefe, what Officer John O'Keefe sacrificed for other people around him. And I think it's important to do that for his family, for his niece and nephew, for the people that cared about John, for his friends. Like, his name shouldn't forever be tied to the way he died. It should be tied to who he was, right? Who he was as a person. I have heard some amazing stories about John. Amazing. Um, about the way he would make people laugh and how generous and kind he was and like all of those things. Like, and if I had someone who was here's the thing, you can't ask the poor family members to come up here and talk about John because they just get harassed and attacked and like all that fun stuff, right? Like, so it's unfortunate that we can't, but I can reiterate the stories that I have been told about John. Um and I don't know why somebody would think that it's funny, but thanks for the whole I mean, I got a funny emoji from Facebook. Cool. Nothing would be funny about John dying. Um, right. Like I can tell you from the people who have told me, like that's all I can do. Because it's not really fair to them that they can't get up and speak about him themselves. That should be their right to do. But I also don't want John to just get lost in all of it. Right? Like he just gets lost in this whole thing. And if they were able, I know they'd be up here speaking about him in a way that everyone could understand who John was, right? Like everybody correlates this case with the guy that died on the lawn, like the officer who was left there. But like, who was John moments before that, hours before that, days before that, and years before that? Like, John was like a person who you could go to who would be there. And we've heard from some of his very close friends that, like, if you needed John, he was there in the hardest of times. And I'll tell you from somebody that like tries to be as much of a good friend as I can be. Like it's important for you to be there for your friends in shitty times because if you're not there in their shitty times, you really don't deserve to be their friend in good times, right? Like, and I love that John recognized that. That was something that John clearly like kept in his heart. Like I'm going to be there no matter how hard it gets and make sure that I check in with the people that I care about so that they know that I have their back, right? Like I mean, again, that speaks volumes about someone's character and who John was. Like, he's always making people laugh and he's always making people have a great time because if you're not having a good time, John wasn't having a good time, right? Like, so what fun is that if John's not having a good time, like he wants everyone to have a good time, right? Like, and from the people that I've spoken to that know and knew John, I like to say no because I feel like he's still here in spirit. I like to think people are still here in spirit and that they can, look down and watch over us and they can see what's going on. And I know he's watching over those kids just as if I was gone today, I'd be watching over my children. Like, so I just think it was important to address the fact that John gets lost in this whole circus, the whole circus. Like, we can talk about the trial until the cows come home, but why do we never talk about Officer John O'Keefe and what he meant to the people that he meant it to? You know what I mean? Like it's been lost. There's more than one victim in this. John might have been the only one who died that night, but there are countless lives that have been affected by this. Countless. Like all of his family and friends, all of the witnesses, even random people who have tried to step up and say, no, real life harassment of people you have no evidence did anything wrong is wrong, right? Like going to their houses, sending them letters, emails, text messages. Like, what? Like, what? No, Sean, we didn't find that out at all. That's not even by a long shot what we found out yesterday. There was no planted evidence. Like, I don't, again, that's not a thing. Like, absolutely, Barb. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. And that's why they're there. They're there for John to let John know, like, we are here and we're going to get justice and we'll do it until the cows come home, no matter how many weeks, months, or even if it took a year, you know? I'm not saying he'll never be forgotten, as in the people that care about him. I just mean I feel like he gets forgotten in this whole circus of the case, right? Like, come on. Do you have a girlfriend or a wife, Sean? Do you have either one of those things? Do you ever take hair off the side of your shower from your girlfriend or wife that can stick there for days if you leave it there? Because again, nobody had access to the car until after they already found the taillights. So, right. So that theory is poof. Yes, I know. Um, yeah, I mean, I love that point, Brie. I know it like covers my face, but I love that point. Like his family and friends and the people that cared about John knew those things. Um, Not random people who've never talked to those people, who don't know those people, who haven't bothered to try to get to know it. Like, um, huh? Did it happen from a dog where there's no DNA to? She's gonna tell me there's holes, like right from a dog bite that like there's no DNA around, it's like impossible, right? Like a dog can't bite and make holes in your shirt to bite through your arm and there's no DNA. It's not a thing, just so you know. It's also not rocket science to figure that out, but like I know some people like to just ignore facts as if they don't exist because it doesn't fit the conspiracy theory. Like, I mean, a lot of people can have a hard time with the hair, but go run your shower, pull a piece of your wife or girlfriend's hair out, and stick it to the wall. See how long it stays there. It's like that simple. Like, see how long. Like, come on. They did test the solo cup blood. They did though. See, so that's again, I'm not, we're gonna get into some of that stuff. Yeah, and what do you mean? Yes, it's just more condensation. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's just more like, what do you mean? Like, you think snow falling? It's like there could have been multiple hairs on there that ended up that there was just one in the end. Like, yeah, there was only one. You are right. Like, that's not, stop it. Like, uh, they're right. Eighth wonder of the world. Like, go, stick one to your car. See how long it stays there. Like, I hope so, Barb. I really hope so because I do. Not that it gets forgotten like in the courtroom. I just mean more of like out here where like everybody's too busy sort of talking about the case itself to acknowledge the fact that John was a living, breathing human with friends and family, and he had feelings and they had feelings and they miss him dearly. And, like the type of person that John was. Right, like, the type of person John was and the things that he did for the people that he cared about, like, I feel like has been lost upon us all, and it can't be. Like, it just can't be. It just can't be. Like, yeah, that's how the glass stayed there, right? Because there's uh like a, I don't know what you call it, like a divot basically, like, from the where the bumper goes to the car and there's like a thing. So it stayed there probably because no matter how much it moved around and shook, because there's that little divot there. So all they had to do was pick it up with the tweezers and take it off. It's not, again, not rocket science at all. Like, um, well, that too. That too, Barb, that too. Like we can agree that they didn't 100% do everything they should have, but we're also talking about a very small town that didn't have investigative like homicide, equipment. Like, they didn't have that. So what they did was the next best thing that you can do, which is to get brand new Plastic, any kind of plastic. That is the next best thing you can do if you don't have the cups that you're supposed to have or the tubes you're supposed to have, is to get a brand new plastic. And that is what they did. They got a brand new thing of Solo cups from the neighbor and they used those. And just so we're clear here, evidence is bagged in a paper bag. So I love that people are like, oh, paper bag, oh, paper bag. Evidence is bagged in a paper bag. And because they didn't have evidence bags, they used whatever paper bag that they had, right? Like, and I don't even know why people argue over the Solo cups, because the Solo cups don't prove or disprove anything. So like it's stupid. Like, yeah, plastic and paper, because they did not have the proper equipment, because there hadn't been a homicide, I don't think, in Canton in like 30 years or something like that. Like, no, they didn't have a fully stocked, because if they had bought that stuff, it would all expire and they'd have to, it would be waste for that town. Like, just absolute waste, and a waste of taxpayer dollars. And then taxpayers would be crying that, why are you buying all this homicide stuff? Like, when we don't have homicides here, it's wasting taxpayer dollars, which is why they didn't have it. And also, state police takes jurisdiction over that stuff anyway. They have all the equipment, hence why they were called in, and they transferred everything over like they were supposed to. Like, the injuries that happened to John did happen from a vehicle. And not only are they going to prove it, but you have only seen the photos that they've wanted to show you. The one photo that has been darkened. When they show all the originals, you can see on John's arm scrapes, actual real life scrapes, not big giant holes, but actual just scrapes. But you haven't been shown those yet, because it doesn't fit the narrative of the conspiracy, and the defense leaked out what they wanted you to see. Like, it's kind of that simple. Like, the originals will show, without darkeners and filters on them, that John had scrapes, almost like road rash, or almost like something scraped his arm. Certainly wasn't a dog. Like, I mean, let's get real here. There's no dog DNA. Dogs don't bite through shirts and not leave DNA. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. There's no dog DNA. No dog bit John. It's not a thing. All right. Like, you can keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it and repeating it to try to make it true. But like, facts are facts, and you can't argue facts. There's no dog DNA. None. Zero. None say. Like, like, oh yeah, let's dispel the basement, shall we? Let's do that. That was on my list. You will never, and I mean never, hear the defense or Aiden talk about that basement ever again. Why, you say? Oh, why? Oh, because they know that it went through insurance. They've seen the evidence, where it was ripped up, what part of it was, and for the flooding. And there's evidence to all that. Literally evidence to all of it. You will never hear about the basement again, because the basement has nothing to do with anything. The house has nothing to do with anything. I'm going to dispel that one right now. There was no loss taken on the house. Remember that one we were told? There was a loss. They lost money when they sold the house. False. They did not lose money. And if you go and do your own public records research, you can find that out just for yourself. Go right ahead and do that. They actually gained money selling the house for what they sold it for. Did they lower it a little to sell it? Yep. My grandparents had to do the same thing, and they did it in an amazing housing market. And they still had to lower it a little for it to sell. So, I mean, they didn't lose any money. They gained money. So there's that crap. Also, the house was going to be sold before John died. So, like, there goes that one. Who lied on it? Nobody lied. So again, no one lied on. I don't know where you're getting that from. Like, I don't know. Again, if you want a conspiracy to fit, then you're going to call them all liars and say, oh, they're lying about X, Y, and Z. But what you're saying they're lying about is things that you've been told. Things that you've been told. I just want to remind everyone that the FBI cleared these people. They're under no investigation. They're not targets of any investigation. And that was said in open court, which a lot of people don't seem to really understand. It was said in open court for a reason. They are not under any investigation. 90-something% of what the feds found in that 3,500 pages was corroborated by what the witnesses have already told the Commonwealth. Like, I hate to burst your bubble, but that's the truth. Like, it's just that simple. Like, oh, you're right, there will be some key evidence coming soon. Just probably not the type you think. Probably not what you've been told. And I hate to burst your bubble on that one too. But especially when the Celebrite expert gets up there and says, and I love when people are like, so they're going to say Celebrite's wrong? Nope, that's not what they're saying at all. They're not saying that. They're absolutely not saying Celebrite's wrong. They're saying the defense reading the data is wrong. And they are. You can't use a DB wall file. You're going to use a DB wall file to say a timestamp for a Google search. No, that's not. No. Like, nope. They cherry picked that one because it fit their timeline. It's a DB wall file. That's not, it doesn't get used for a timestamp for a Google search. It's the timestamp of when she pulled up the tab itself, not the search, the tab. Like, I won't feel one way or another if she's found not guilty. I just happen to know things that you don't. And I happen to know that a lot of the conspiracy is going kaboom, poof, which I already knew. But you guys have been fed a lot of bullshit. You were fed a proffer. Remember that one? Yeah. Just so you know, if there was a proffer, they have to tell the jury that in open court. Just so we're all clear here. There's no proffer. There never was, just like I've been saying for, I don't know, T-minus months now. So again, the stuff that you think is coming, numerous people have been told that like there's magically going to be witnesses that saw John in the house and saw him get beat up. I just want you guys to know that's false. That's an utter lie. There was nobody in the house, and John never went in the house. So can't be witnesses that saw him get beat up when he never went in the house, which is also corroborated by his own phone data that doesn't leave the spot he's in after he is there until they find him in the morning. His GPS does a hovering over the house for a whopping 3 seconds. It goes right back to where he was in the yard. So unless you're going to tell me that the dog bit him, he got bit up and walked down the basement and all that happened, and then he was in 3 seconds, come on, stop it. Like, yeah, no, absolutely they couldn't. Absolutely they could not. But that really has nothing to do with anything. But like, I wouldn't want to. That's for damn fucking sure. Like, you know, that's for damn sure. I'm not sure what you mean, Parson. Right. So again, if you guys want to take, again, this is like the conspiracy crowd taking what a person said out of context. Well, what they meant was, no, it's not. They were very clear. Allie was very clear. Colin and her were not there when John got there. It's not disputed that John and Karen pulled up at 34 Fairview. That's being there. Okay. It's not being in the house, but it's outside of the house. They weren't there when that happened. So again, if you want to try to take a kid's words and twist them, like it's come on now, stop it. Stop. You're trying to fit a conspiracy. You're not following the evidence, and you're not an open mind if you're going to say, Ellie McCabe said Colin wasn't in the house when John was there. Yes, when John and Karen pulled up outside. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, don't stop. Like, come on. That's just silly. Like, if the witness has a proffer, it has to be told. It has to be told to the court. Like, they have to know. You would have heard that he had a proffer. You would have heard a cross-examination of the defense talking about said proffer. Like, well, they do. Well, that's the problem, right? We're just ignoring it, and then we're like changing up people's words. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't change someone's words, dude. Ellie McCabe was very clear. They weren't there when John and Karen were there. They still arrived at 34 Fairview outside. It's not disputed that Karen and John arrived at 34 Fairview, clearly, since he was found on the lawn. So people going, see, she said they weren't there when he was there, so it must mean they knew he was in the house. Like, no, that's, again, you trying to make something fit into your conspiracy box. Everyone knows that they were outside. That's being there, no? You're going to tell me the next thing you're going to tell me is that it's not being there. Like, come on, stop it. Like, you can't change people's words around to match what you want it to fit in the conspiracy box, dude. It either is or it isn't. It's not, oh, well, what they meant was he was in the house. And so that's why she said that. No, she said that because he was found on the lawn and he was at 34 Fairview, outside 34 Fairview. That's still there. Like, like, come on now. Like, let's not play semantics to fit the conspiracy. Like, yes. Thank you. The search. Except that, yes, it was made on the same tab that the DB wall file logged the browser. So that's the thing. The search was made on the same tab, but later on, after 6, she opened said tab at 2:27. Correct. Hey, girl. Hey. Exactly. Not even Karen is saying she was never there. That's the point. Like, there still means outside the house. They still arrived there. Like, as far as we know, nobody had any that would have been of any use. Wouldn't have gotten that area, or they didn't have one. Like, well, that's the thing. You can't make it fit your narrative. Like, you can't twist things to make it fit in the box you want it to. Like, that's not how evidence works. It's just not. Like, you follow the actual evidence, and you also can't, when evidence is presented, real life evidence, go, oh, well, just, you know what? F it. Those people are all liars and everything's corrupt. So we can't take any of the evidence that they say. Like, none of it. It's not even evidence because they're all corrupt and everyone's a liar. Like, that's trying to fit it into a conspiracy box, dude. Evidence being presented to you, and the only excuse people have is, well, everyone's corrupt and they're all liars, so we can't. Okay, so if that's the theory, then all of the witnesses, including the people who worked at all different labs, they're all in on the conspiracy. All of them? Yeah, no, not even probable mathematically. Like, yes. So there was, oh my God, this is what people don't understand, is the witnesses testified in all these grand juries. And the FBI came in and looked at all of it and got their own evidence and was like, hey, guess what? Everything the witnesses are saying, we have basically corroborated. Like, we have corroborated pretty much what they have said. You want to know what was in that 3,500 pages? Nothing. You know what they found in there? Things that they thought maybe the cops could have done better or should have done better, but that was pretty much it. I hate to burst you guys' bubble. It's not a thing, okay? These ridiculous conspiracies. Come on. Some people were still crowing about a belt and a shoe, and I've been telling you guys for months, there's a damn map to where the shoe was found in the goddamn court documents. And you still have Aiden yelling about a shoe even 2 months ago when the court documents came out months and months previous to that. That tells you he clearly doesn't even read all the goddamn documents. There's a literal map to where that shoe was found. I've been telling you guys for months, the belt's not missing. Like, the shoe, not missing. And we found out yesterday, oh my God, they have both. Imagine that. Most people could have just went back to the docs and said, oh, wait, she's right. There's a map. This is where the shoe was found. But instead, they just continue crowing false information and misleading information. Like when I saw this morning about John and his Apple Watch. He didn't have an Apple Watch. He wasn't wearing an Apple Watch, FYI, people. There was no Apple Watch. It was his phone. His phone is found outside the house. The steps the defense claims that he took would have been before, and you can look at this yourself, take the research and look at it yourself from all the data, would have been before he ever arrived via his Waze and Karen's phone data at 34. So unless he's doing steps inside the goddamn car, it's not possible that he took steps inside 34 Fairview because those steps were supposedly logged before he ever arrived out front of 34 Fairview. Just saying. So that's another debunked theory that, like, I had to see this morning, and I'm like, this same person repeating 3 of the lies, 3 of the bigger, like, lies that I just talked about, like, it's not a thing. Like, it's not a thing. Like, well, that's the thing. Like, I would have loved nothing more than for her to have been innocent. I'm not a huge fan of corruption. I'm not a huge fan of just cops in general. Like, I've seen a lot of corruption over the years of doing advocacy work. And like, for me, it's like, I don't like it. Right. Like, so I would have loved nothing more than this to have been a good conspiracy. But unfortunately, the evidence does not lead there. And I can't take evidence that's in my face and say, oh shit, I'm just going to keep saying free Karen Reed. I mean, I believed it in the beginning too, but we didn't have all the shit we have now. And I certainly didn't have even a fourth of the evidence that I have now. So like, what we had in the beginning wasn't much to go on. Right. But what I've gotten since last November is like a very clear picture of what did and didn't happen. What didn't happen was a conspiracy. What did happen was Karen covered up the fact that she left John on that lawn. Whether she was too drunk to remember or not remains to be seen. But the actions she took afterwards to cover things up are the problem. Okay. Like, yeah, again, it's Melanie Little talking about shit that was never found. Melanie Little, the shoe had been found. Maybe do research, maybe read the damn documents, like, instead of going off what Turtle Boy told you. Because I can literally, we just talked about a couple of lies that he's told. Like, there's way more than that. Like, stop it. Like, that's just ridiculous. I told you all when you were all here yesterday morning, I want you all to pay attention today because important evidence is going to be shown today. And what did we have? Anybody who follows me regularly, who's here with me regularly, you guys were here. Like, we had a lot to debunk this ridiculous conspiracy theory. Proctor can't break the taillight and sprinkle it if he didn't even have the car when the CERT team found taillight. So there goes that theory. And that lie that you were told. Thank you, Gail. I appreciate you. Well, here's the thing. You can't just put yourself in one box of like conspiracy, 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 because you can make everything and anything fit into the conspiracy. Like, people are asking me like, why did Higgins go throw his trash out there? That's really shady. Well, if you boil it down to what his everyday life looks like, no, it's not. There's no trash service in his town, and he regularly throws his trash out there. So if you're looking at it like, okay, he got rid of that phone, like got a new phone, threw it away like every other person does. And to be fair, I cut my SIM cards I've always been taught to do that. Like, my brother's like a tech person. Like, I've always been taught, like, you don't want like a dumpster diver finding your like personal information, like cut it, like that's it. And so I do that too. But what he did was throw it away and then bring his trash to the normal place that he brings his trash. Like, so you can literally make anything you want nefarious. You can take any one text out of any string of texts or group chats I'm in right now. I can take one text out of any of that and make it look and seem nefarious. You need the context behind it. You can't just assume that because someone told you it's a conspiracy, that it's a conspiracy. There is context behind things. That is where Higgins threw his goddamn trash out all the time. It's not just he went there and threw that trash out there that one shady time. Like again, context matters, people. It matters. Like, it really does matter. Like, I'm going to go through some of these comments right now because they're coming in and I want to, you guys know me. I like to interact with my audience. I like to talk to everybody. I want to, read the comments and stuff. But while we're doing that, I also am a very small channel. So there's a ticker at the bottom of the screen. And if you would like to contribute, because that's how we keep this show running over here. There's a Cash App and Venmo at the bottom of the screen. I also have a PayPal. If anybody needs it, just ask. But I would really appreciate it. Any and all support is always helpful to me. And if it's too small at the bottom, let me know. Some people have complained it's like too small at the very bottom. I do read the donations. If you don't want it read, you just write A on it or AN as an anonymous, and I'll just say it's anonymous. But I like to read the comments people send with them. Sometimes they're quite funny. Sometimes they're very informative. Like, sometimes, like, I mean, I like people. I'm a people person. Yeah, there's not very many. And I could have just kept doing that, right? I could have just kept saying, free Karen Reed, she's innocent. And like, then you would have, like, my numbers would be through the roof and the donations would have kept coming in. Like, a lot of us that got the evidence and realized we were wrong, the ones of us who were able to look at it and say, like, oh, we were wrong. Like, we're losing by doing that. Like, but I have to look myself in the mirror and I have to sleep at night. So I can't just say she's innocent with all the evidence that I had in front of me just for clicks and views and money. Like, would it have been helpful? Absolutely. I'm a low income family. It absolutely would have been extremely freaking helpful. It was getting me by week to week when I did think she was innocent. But I'm not going to do that for that reason. I'm sorry. I can't do that. It's what is in front of me it disproves the theory that it was a conspiracy. It just does. And I'm not going to sit here and continue to say, like some of these people are, free Karen Reed, Karen's innocent, everything is a conspiracy, when I know it's not, for clicks and views. So yeah, a lot of us took a hit for that. Like we lost by telling the truth in many ways. Like, so I think it's extremely brave of anybody who's willing to tell the truth when it comes to this case, because it's not the popular opinion. It's not the popular opinion, and it's not what people want to hear, but the truth is the truth, no matter what way you want to slice it. Like, you can't argue facts. I mean, you can try to fit it in your little conspiracy box if you want, right? But these witnesses are everyday normal human beings with normal lives. Their kids are in sports. They're moms. They go to each other's games. They hang out as families and friends. Like, people are being harassed, intimidated, threatened in real life. Their children's schools are being called. They're getting text messages, death threats, letters, like you name it, phone calls, like, and they're getting it, like, with zero evidence. As a matter of fact, the FBI found everything they were saying to be pretty much truthful. So, like, what the fuck? Like, the problem is that the FBI isn't going to come out and say our investigation is over, because they don't do that, right? Like, they don't come out and say an investigation is over when it's over. They don't do that. Like, I think at some point they may announce something, because it's a very unusual situation with this case, but 9 out of 10 times they don't. They just move on to the next thing that they're on, and they never say a word, because unless someone's being indicted, there's no reason to. And since nobody here is under investigation, and none of them, and this, again, if you're just following the case now, this was a pretrial hearing where their attorneys were able to speak to the DOJ and the FBI, and literally were able to say in court, in open court, that their clients are not, and the judge confirmed all this, that's why they were allowed to say it, that they are not under investigation, and they are not any target of anything. They have been cleared of any wrongdoing. There was no wrongdoing to begin with. Like, so, I mean, when you have people like Melanie Little still saying a shoe is missing, like, do your work, Melanie Little. Do you just press the button and just go? Because, like, I mean, I've been told that people actually do that. I don't know how you just press the button and go without doing any sort of research whatsoever on what the hell you're talking about. But, like, do you, boo-boo? But then you're going to look stupid like that. She was never missing. There's a goddamn map, and it was in the documents from months ago. Like, you know, ridiculous. No, they're not. They're definitely not. Right. They don't do that. Like, there's quite a few things we'll find out this week. Actually, there's quite a few. Well, also, we're going to do, because we have today off and Friday off also, there is some stuff we're not going to get to this week. Hold on. I need to turn my air conditioner on, because it's getting a little hot in here, and I have my fans on already, and it's cold in the other room. Sorry. But there's quite a few things we're going to find out this week. There is some of the, that might be next week. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I'd have to look at my notes. I know some of the car data is coming. I know the Celebrate guy is coming. I think we might see Yuri. Yuri is definitely, I think, this week. I'm pretty sure Yuri is this week. So buckle your seatbelts for that. Then we have, so this week's a short week because of everything that's going. So, like, I know we're supposed to see Yuri. I'm guessing next would be the phone data. And that's going to be a doozy. John's phone data, Karen's phone data, the voicemails, the text messages, all from Karen. Not going to help her at all. There's quite a few things coming. They're trying to wrap up all the evidence right here at the end, the Commonwealth is, which is a smart legal tactic, so that it's right in the front of the brains of the jury when when the defense tries their ridiculous, and I don't see the judge allowing the defense to use a third-party culprit defense. I think they're going to go with a Bowden defense because they don't have a choice. And Bowden is more like just nitpicking at the investigation itself. Third party, she allowed them to develop this third party defense. They really haven't. And so I don't see her allowing them to use it. So, I mean, here's the thing. Juries don't like pick a card, any card, pick a card, any card. And that's what they're doing right now. Like pick a suspect, any suspect. If you're going to do a third party defense, juries like to know who the fuck you think did it. Right. Like that, that's what they want to know. They don't want to know, like, pick a card, any card. Any one of these people could have done it. See, they're shady. Like, juries don't tend to fall for that. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, that's the protocol. That's their protocol here. Like that's why they didn't map them like on top of each other. But I mean, there's no doubt they were found in that yard. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that's not like they were found way not. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, does it really change anything? No, not really. The rest of the evidence, you know what I mean, is there. Like, I'm not saying that you're not. I'm saying there are some people who keep saying that who clearly are not, because they keep trying to force things into a conspiracy box that aren't in a conspiracy box. Like, I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah, you can shake your phone and it counts the steps. That's how you play Pokemon Go, dude. Shake your phone. And it counts as steps. You can hatch those eggs. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can trick the app in numerous ways. But what they did do, and what you will see, is that they mapped the hills in the area. So where they said his thing said it went up and downstairs, and this is before they ever arrived at 34 Fairview. You can go look at the data yourself and the times yourself. They mapped the area of where it went up in elevation and down, because that's how it counts steps, right? And at the time that the steps were counted, the car was going up and down in elevation. So again, they mapped that all out. You'll see that in the trial. Hi, Patricia. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome to us. I mean, you don't have to, you don't have to agree with everything I say. That's totally cool. Like, we can have like civil debates here. You know what I mean? Like, that's the wonderful thing about my platform, is like, I have plenty of people who still think Karen's innocent who come and watch me, like, because they're still a friend of mine, and like, we don't have to agree on everything. You know what I mean? But like, we can have civil debates without like calling each other freaking names and going for personal attacks. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's stupid. I'm not sure why they scheduled a day off at all. Like, the people that are being honest with themselves can see that it's not looking good for Karen. Others are jumping through hoops to make her innocent. Well, that's the problem, is if you have to make things fit what you want it to fit instead of taking it for what it is. If you have to say, well, I'm not taking that evidence because they're all corrupt and lying, then you should double check what you're saying. Because what you're saying is, nothing that they tell me I'm going to believe. It's just a conspiracy. Yeah, there's no Court Friday either, no. Oh, Eliza. Well, they don't, Emily. There are some people, and I can tell you for a fact, like some people that are like, doing this case YouTube wise, like not just like people in general, but like there are people who know for a fact the evidence that I know, that know that she's not innocent, that keep saying she's innocent because they're too afraid to say she's not, and to say that they found out otherwise and that they've changed their mind because they're afraid of being attacked by the turtle riders, and they're afraid of being smeared and slandered, defamed, harassed, just like the rest of us have been for speaking out. They're afraid, and they're also afraid of losing money. They're afraid of losing viewers. I lost all of that. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and lie. I'm not going to do it, dude. Maybe some people can do that with a fucking straight face. I'm not one of those goddamn people. Like, it's not a me thing. If you know me in real life, I pretty much tell it the way I see it. And I'm not going to apologize for that in any way. Like, I'm just not going to do it. No, there are some people who never believed the conspiracy. I know one person in particular I'm thinking of right off the top of my head. She never believed it. Never. It was brutal. It was brutal. It was brutal. Yeah, the experts, those will be crucial, and they will be, because I'm just telling you now from what I know. Cash App or Venmo, Gail, there's a little ticker at the bottom of the screen. It shows Cash App, my Cash App information, or my Venmo information, and thank you, very well appreciated. I'm a small channel, guys. This is the only way I continue running it. It's not free. You got to run the software. You got to pay for stuff. And I put a lot of time and effort into this. Most of you are with me almost every day of the trial, and I'm 6 or 7 hours into a stream. It's a lot of time that comes into this, a lot of time outside of this that I put in. Again, people who know me in real life know, because they're you're either with me or they're on the phone with me. They know. So it's very mumuch appreciated. Anybody who wants to donate, that little ticker that runs it. I know it's small, so if it's too small, tell me. I can pop up a bigger one, but I like the little one. But there's a little ticker at the bottom. The money sign one is the Cash App, and the @ sign one in the front is Venmo. They're both the same. Yes, the experts will be very crucial. And I'm going to tell you right now, the key cycles and stuff, that's going to be interesting when she key cycles the car to try to delete the data. Also, I want to point out the only person who could have had access to those cameras to delete the ring cam footage of her re-arriving at John's house after 34 Fairview that morning is Karen. So why would that be deleted of all things? Also, does somebody want to tell me why her phone data shows her going back past 34 Fairview before she ever goes to Jen McCabe's house? Because when we get to that in trial, that's going to be a quite interesting thing too. Yeah, there is. I mean, there is. Well, that's the thing. We don't need to glamorize them to cover a case either, right? Even if I thought Koberger was innocent, I don't. But even if I did, I'm going to follow the facts of the case. I'm going to say why I think. I'm not going to glamorize him as a person. I don't know him as a person, and I don't know if he's innocent or he's guilty. At the beginning of a trial, right? You have no idea, because you're not going to see the evidence until trial, unless you're closer to a trial or closer to have sources. I'm in Massachusetts, so I have information that you guys don't. And so unless you're one of those people, you don't really know. You're just watching everyone else is, right? So it can be people who think Koberger's innocent. That's fine. It's not what the DNA says, but that's fine. Cool. Is it a circumstantial case? Mostly? Sure, definitely. But that doesn't mean he didn't do it. You got to look at the rest of the evidence, cell phone data, touch DNA, all that stuff. Well, I don't think they're going to use all the 33 witnesses left. I think there's quite a few that they're not going to do, because there would just be repeating stuff over and over. So they may use 1 or 2 of them to corroborate what one witness says, but they're not going to use 7 state troopers to corroborate what 2 of the state troopers are saying. You know what I'm saying? Before there was 12, I think, state troopers on there. I don't think you'll see all 12. Yeah, the schedule is Wednesday's a full day. Thursday is a full day. Wednesday, Thursday. That's it. We don't have it Friday. So yeah, that's the schedule this week, unfortunately. Which is I don't know why they keep taking so many days off. We're never going to finish this. Well, yeah, that's the problem. The tunnel vision, where they're just I'm not going to take any evidence. I'm just going to, nope. Not really. I mean, here's the thing. They use Lally for a reason, and I will say he's got a pretty good track record. When he's won many other cases. So I do think he needs to command more presence, but I don't think it makes a huge deal in the long run, because whether he says it monotone or not, which he is very monotone in my opinion, doesn't really change the evidence. The jury has to take into consideration what they have been shown and what they have been told. When the witnesses talk, it is considered evidence in a trial. So the jury has to decide what evidence shows she did or didn't do it. Him being monotone, meh, not really so much a big deal, especially since there's so many witnesses, so you're hearing their voices too. So it's it sort of cuts it up a little, but no, I don't think it makes a big difference really. If he was horrible, if he was just bad at his job, I would say it does. But He's laid the evidence out there, and there's way more to come. Like, yeah, no, I think they're full days. As far as I know, they're supposed to be full days. Friday though, I don't. There's no court. I know that hasn't been like publicly announced yet, but I'm almost positive there's no court Friday. Um, well, I mean, the witnesses have been called murderers for 2 years now. Um, and there's nobody who's on trial for this crime other than the defendant at the moment. So, I mean, it's been happening for quite some time. Like, I know I'm like behind in the comments. I'm trying to catch up. I promise. Um, no, I think you're gonna see there's one of them that wasn't allowed because they didn't have the uncut version of it, but there are clips that they're gonna play from one of them. It is subjective. It is. So that's the thing. You could be literally together all the time doing the same exact things and like it still be different. So it's like again, but again, the data itself of like walking up and downstairs is completely gone because he wasn't even arrived at 34 Fairview yet. So like this whole he was walking up and downstairs thing, like it's a lot of crowing about nothing because he wasn't even arrived at 34. So unless he's doing a step counter inside the car and he's just huffing in the car, going, moving his legs and moving his arms, like he wasn't walking up and down steps at Fairview. Like it's literally impossible. He hadn't even arrived there due to the data that shows that like it shows he wasn't even there yet. So yeah, I mean, some people are going to start backpedaling when they realize that there's actual real life evidence that are going to show like they were lied to. And I'm sorry, but if some of these people started using their logical thinking already, they would already know. It like makes me sad that the law tube community, because somebody came to me the other day, it was like, so many law tubers are saying that she's innocent. And I'm like, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. But I don't care what the law tubers, they're still YouTubers. And at the end of the day, clearly, if they're going to keep saying that, then A, I wouldn't hire any of them. Okay. B, I love law. Don't get me wrong, dude. I tell people their rights all the time. I make sure I can help them with that kind of stuff. Like I've been studying law since I was freaking 11 and it just didn't. My daughter has a rare medical condition. My life didn't go in that direction. I've taken the mock bar exam like a billion times. Like I would have loved to be nothing but an attorney. I still stay up on all the laws, all the decisions on why those laws are in place, the cases that made those precedents, like you name it. And I pretty much know it. And I don't need to be a barred attorney to use my critical thinking skills. I just need to know how a trial works. And first of all, Melanie Little is like a civil attorney, like number one, and number two, like half the shit she says makes no sense. I would never hire her. Never. I don't know if she just says it for her audience or she actually believes it, but either way, I would not hire her. Like, right. The elevation, it goes up and down in elevation. Um, Well, that's the thing, right? Like, if you sit in an echo chamber, that's what you're going to get. But if you try to be honest in any of those groups and try to say, "Well, I'm feeling like I saw some things that like maybe she's not so innocent," instant boot, instant block. You don't get to say those things because they want that echo chamber. Like, you can think she's innocent over here, cool, as long as you're not attacking other people. Like, you're welcome to be here. Like, but I mean, that should speak volumes to you. That right there should speak volumes to you about literally why. Why would they want an echo chamber like that if in real life? Uh-oh. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry, guys. I just had to answer the nurse who just sent me a message. My little bubala fell off the playground thing and bumped her little head. Said she's fine. She gave her some ice and she's totally fine, but they just wanted to let me know at school what happened. So I needed to answer that. Oh, my poor baby. Just give me 1 second. She's clumsy sometimes too. Uh-uh. All right. Oh, my little boobala. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, that was more important. Sorry. She fell off the little playground thing and bumped. She's got a little tiny red mark right there, but she's totally fine. I said to give her a little ice. She went back to class and she's totally okay. She's a little clumsy sometimes too, though. My little boobala, but she's a trooper. She's one of those kids that like falls and she's like, "I'm good. Let's go play." Like, well, yeah. I mean, that's that's part of what happens and is what happening. That's why people won't say anything. It's sad, but you know. Yes, her brother is Alexis Steeler, and the center console has numerous things they're going to talk about, including the warnings and alarm bells that would have went off if you were getting close to something. Yep. It wasn't clearly on her car in 2 different videos. So we're clear here. It wasn't clearly on her car at all. Like, yeah, she can fence it. That's, I respect a fence sitter, because that means they don't have all the evidence that they need to make a decision. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you should acknowledge that it could be hurtful to anyone. I think it's important, though, for people to be able to have free speech. I think that's important. But I say that in order for you to be able to tell the truth about something, there's just a lot of people who are afraid. I'll just put it that way. It says that there are a lot of people who are afraid to tell the truth. It's that simple. They're afraid to say, I know that she's probably not innocent because of X, Y, and Z, because they're too afraid of being turned on or bashed in their comments or losing subscribers or losing donations. They're too afraid of all that because their numbers have went like this since they bought into the conspiracy. And what happens when you start like realizing that it's not actual conspiracy is this is what happens. And then you have to build your stuff back up to do this. Now, I have done that. So, yeah, where I might have taken a dip in viewership, donations, all that stuff, like I'm going to keep telling the truth no matter what. I don't care if I don't get there are many days I don't get a single donation on a stream. Like, because if I'm not reading it, it didn't happen. Okay. So, like, I mean, I still am not going to be deterred from telling the truth. Like, I'm just not. Nobody is going to sit here and try to bully, intimidate, and I just want to put one thing out there. No, tomorrow's a full day, Barb. The judge said tomorrow was going to be a full day. It is like a thing that never ends, literally. Like, well, obviously clear liquid doesn't have to be vodka. It could just be water, but obviously. But yeah, the court needs to stop taking days off, Kathy. I freaking agree. Oh, hey, girl. Hey. It's you got to look at it from a perspective of There are a lot of people who just jumped on this case without really even knowing anything. All they really knew was what they heard from Aiden, which we went over a few earlier. There's literally so many things he has been wrong, abundantly wrong, and lied about. And anybody who's telling you that, like, in the very beginning of a case, before any evidence even makes its way to light, that they're 100% certain that someone's innocent, you might want to start questioning that. If you're an investigative journalist, then you're investigating the whole thing. You're not holding back texts because they make Karen look bad, which is something that he did. He held back those texts because they made her look bad. He wouldn't put any information out that made her look bad. And at one point, both Karen and Jen Altman were messaging, like Jen Altman messaged me on behalf of Karen, saying that I shouldn't be talking about the Proctor and Buchanan DNA if I cared about the Free Karen Read movement and I cared about Karen. She doesn't want it talked about. I was answering a comment in my, like a question in my chat. And I don't give a fuck if she wants it talked about or not. That's the information. So, like, again, if you're trying to control the narrative of what people are saying on YouTube and their channels, that's a red flag for me. Why, as a defendant in a murder case, would you be trying to control what YouTubers are saying on their channel, what they talk about, what they don't talk about? Like, A, you have to be a real big control freak. B, that's pretty bold of a defendant in a murder trial to be telling people what they can and can't talk about on their own goddamn channels. Like, that was my first red flag. Like, wait a second. Nope, not over here. Not on this channel. Nobody dictates what I am and what I'm not going to talk about on my channel. It's not a thing. I don't follow narratives, okay? I follow the information. Like, this is a really good one. And it's going to block my face for a second. But yes, when you realize they're a real person and his parents believe she's guilty and feel traumatized by the lies and the witness intimidation and all of it. Like, you know? It won't read the whole thing, I guess, but we saw her cling to him in the bar. It looks like a woman who's desperate for a man to show affection and scared either way. Well, that's the thing. Like, she didn't want them going. She didn't want John going to the house talking to Higgins. That could have blown up her entire spot. Like, come on. Or one clear liquid into another is a shot glass. Test tube shot glasses are a thing. Yeah, test tube shot glasses are a thing. We had test tube shot glasses at one of the bars I worked at. All different kinds. I don't know how they got the interview, but whatever they got in, they got something in. One of the interviews is in. I mean, I guess that would all come down to discovery and how they argued it with the judge. So I'm just, why is my phone being weird? Oh, thank you, Missy. Missy sends $15 as a donation for the live. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I knew I don't know why, but yeah. Okay, that one's the only one from Venmo. Thank you for sharing. I mean, I'm hoping some of these people stop being afraid and come to light the fact that there's many pieces of evidence that they either ignored or didn't even look at. So, no, he wasn't walking up and down stairs, unless he was walking up and down stairs inside the vehicle. Soda water. A lot of people drink that too. No, I don't think so, because it's not important. So, like, it's not going to be probably addressed, Layla, because it's just not an important fact, you know. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was in that group until yesterday for some reason. I shared the live that I was doing yesterday about it, because you guys know I'm against this giant conspiracy, because I believed it in the beginning, and I've been able to debunk it with evidence. And facts and actual real life thing that's called context, and context matters. What do you mean? The Idaho 4 isn't trying to use a DB wall file. They are using cell phone data in this case, though. That's the thing. It's not whether they can use it or not. It's not, and this is what people are getting confused, is that, well, if the data isn't right in this case, then it's not right in any case. Like, and I thought that too at the beginning. But what they didn't tell us was that the defense is trying to use a DB wall file as the timestamp for a Google search. A DB wall file is the time you opened a tab, not the time you did the search. That tab was then used for the search later on at 6, 2 times at 6, whatever, and 6, whatever, after he was found. They're trying to use the timestamp of when she opened the tab, a DB wall file, as the timestamp for the Google search. No one else has ever tried to do that. That's why it would never affect any other case, because no other defense has ever tried to cherry pick a DB wall file, because they know the experts would debunk it. So that's why. I don't think many people will. They're too afraid. That's the problem. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I really wish people would stop being afraid, because it only has power if you allow it, right? The harassment, all of that, it only has power if you allow it to have power. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong about the file. That's like the DB wall file is the problem. You can't use a DB wall file as a timestamp to something. It's not a thing. It's just not. Like, sorry, I'm getting something that I need to check. No, yeah, he did. So I heard that he was saying, like, he knew that was wrong. Like, like, knew it was wrong, completely wrong. Oh, thank you, Andy, for the $20 dono. I appreciate you so much. No comment. And then Heather for 15. Thank you, Heather, so much. I appreciate you. It says for your work. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you guys. Like, it's, it isn't easy, like, being people who are speaking out against stuff that, like, people don't want to hear about. Like, it's not easy. Like, it's, when you're in that echo chamber, nobody wants you to be saying it. So they'll stifle you in any way, shape, or form to get you to shut the hell up, whether it's harassing you, whether it's literally like defaming you, slandering you. Like, oh, they've done plenty of that to me. Literally plenty of it. Like, lies, bullshit. Like, not just me, but my very good friend, Lindsay, who we know is Aiden's ex. Like, she has been harassed relentlessly, her and her children. Relentlessly for speaking truth, for being bold enough to say the truth. That's gross, dude. It's gross. Like, and half these people who are running their mouths about her don't know her. Like, for me, like, when I started this channel, I was very clear to people. I am someone who's been sober going 16 years this year from opiates. 16 years. I drink on rare occasions, probably 10 times a year total. Sometimes not even. I don't smoke weed. I'm quitting cigarettes. I smoke like a half a pack a day now, which I'm so proud of myself. My little vape here. I'm so proud of myself. But at one point in my life, I was a person who had a criminal record. I had it sealed a long time ago. And I went from being someone who sat in a prison cell for a probation violation to someone who then worked at Bridgewater Prison. And the only reason I'm not currently there is because after I had my daughter, I didn't have $30,000 a year in childcare. Or I'd gladly go back. I loved that job, and I loved the difference that I could make in people's lives, because it's also a mental health prison. So it's for the criminally insane. But I went from someone being in a jail cell to someone who worked in a jail, and I refused to allow somebody to use my past from when I was 20, 21 and younger. I'm 37. Against me now. I turned my life around, and I refuse to allow somebody to use that against me as trying to make it as if I'm a bad person. Like, no, anybody who knows me in real life knows the amount of things that I do for people that I don't get anything out of. I do it because it's the right fucking thing to do. Like, and as should all of you. If you're going to do something for someone, don't do it with the expectation of getting something back. Because if that's why you're doing it, you're not doing it for the right goddamn reason. If you're doing it because it's the right thing to do and it's just in your heart to do it, like, then that's why you do it, right? Like, I know at the end of the day, if I died tomorrow, that I left an imprint on this earth, that I did everything in my power to do the kind and nice things that could make a difference in this world. And I taught my children how to do the same. And hopefully I taught my family and friends how to do the same. Can everybody say that? I don't know. Can Aiden say that? Definitely not. one person he's ever helped a day in his life, and one thing he didn't get something out of for doing. So I find it funny coming from the same person that he calls everyone the same thing. Everyone's a grifter. Everyone's a criminal. Everyone's a bad person. Everyone is riding his coattails. It's all the same thing on every single person he attacks for the last, 8 or 9 years. And usually it's because you know too much. You wouldn't lie for him, or he's jealous of you of some way, or the Rocco's right now. It's currently just because he's jealous. It's really that simple. And people don't seem to realize it's literally that simple. For me, it's because I didn't lie to Lindsay for him at the Halloween party about Lauren. She asked me where Lauren was. I assumed he had told her. And I said, why would she come? She called me right before this party crying that Aiden just told her you existed today. So like, I didn't lie for him. So then I was public enemy number one. And so like when that happens, like here comes all the lies and here comes all the rumors about you. And like, that's how he does it. He feeds those to his mob. His mob takes them and does what they will with them. And then he uses that as power. Problem with that is it only has power, guys, if you allow it to. It only has power if you allow it to have power. Don't allow someone like that to have power. They're irrelevant. If that's the way that they live their life, that's sad to live your life that way at 42 years old. I wouldn't want to live my life that way. Nope, sure the hell wouldn't. Like, I know I'm behind, Layla, so you're gonna have to tell me what you meant there. Yeah, I mean, they will. They'll keep screaming it. It'll just keep happening. Like, and you can totally be unsure. That's all right. And you're welcome here to be unsure. That's totally fine. Hey, Barry, how are you, bud? But what you can't come in here and do is I will not accept people running in here and attacking other people and personally attacking them or spreading false rumors and lies. That will not be allowed here. You're more than welcome to think Karen's innocent and be here. Cool. Let's have some like real life civil debates about it. Let's do it. But you're not going to personally attack people, call them names. Like, you're not going to do none of that here. Or you're just wasting your finger push-ups for typing. Like, you're just going to be booted and that'll be the end of it. Like, yeah. Good for you. That sounds actually like fun. And I know you've done a couple things like that, Jules. Because you're awesome that way. I don't think she was confused. It was something that like either Jackson or Yanity said that he knew was wrong, and she called it out. She said, wait a second, he knows that's not true. What about Bree? That's my girl. Jeffrey McDonald case. It was Colette's stepfather who got McDonald convicted. Famous case. I'm gonna have to look into that one, actually. Let me write that down because that sounds intriguing. So like, I like old cases, old missing persons cases. I have a friend, I don't know. Some of you might not know this. But when I started this channel, I have a friend that went missing. He was my roommate and my friend's boyfriend, my other roommate's boyfriend. And he's been missing since 2006. I've done his case on my channel. And he has not ever been found. And so that was one of the reasons I started this. A friend of mine's mother went missing as well. So like, I was hoping that like by covering some cases, trials like this too, but some of the older like missing persons cases or stuff like that, that like maybe I could jog someone's memory. Maybe somebody would remember something that would help us find these people. Like, some of these cases have been sitting for quite some time. My friend Miguel has never been found. It's been a long time. His family and his friends deserve to know what happened to him and where he is. Yeah, I mean, of course they are. But here's the thing. She had a BAC. They already testified to her BAC. So we can keep saying there's clear liquid, so it's water, but she had a BAC, so clearly she was drinking alcohol. I mean, so again, you can argue facts, but like the facts are the facts. Like, Kathy, I love you. I love you. Listen, I'm not a huge fan of law enforcement myself, but I will tell you a little secret of mine is if I have money and I'm out getting a coffee at Mary Lou's and there's a first responder or a cop behind me, I always pay for their coffee. Like I do, as a thank you to putting their, selves in danger. And I realize not every cop is bad. I've just had really bad experiences with having victims of domestic violence be treated like shit. I've had experiences with cops lying for people that I've helped and myself. So it's like, I don't trust them because I know how corrupt they can be. But at the same time, I recognize that they're putting themselves in the line of fire and that it's a hard job, right? Like, watching cases, if you ever get a chance, Liza, watch one in person. Like, go to the courthouse and watch trial in person. Maybe a shorter one than this that you can actually do, but like watch one in person. I've done a few of those. It's very nice. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Like some of the moderate ones are just less extreme turtle riders. Like it's kind of what you're getting there, unfortunately. Yep, Slanda. Yep. What caused the punctures in the shirt? Could have been the glass. It could have been the tail light. It could have been like, but what it wasn't is dog bites because there's no DNA there. So that's what it isn't. Also, you have to remember that where John was, I don't know, like I don't know how familiar you are with the area, Nash, but where John was half in a mulch bed. It's a mulch bed. So over on that side of the property, there's like a mulch bed with like bushes. There's also a sort of opened utility box that's low to the ground. It's very low. It's right almost on the ground. And it's like it was cracked open. It had been that way for years. There's a fire hydrant. So there's like sticks and like, so I mean, there's any sort of things that could have made punctures. I'm not really sure what it was, but what I can tell you is it wasn't a dog because dogs leave DNA and there was no DNA. Like, blood on the front of your shirt. Yeah. Well, you're assuming that he didn't try to crawl at any point or that he didn't try to lean, like roll over, or you're also assuming that that didn't happen when they moved him. Like he was still bleeding, remember, when they moved him. So some of that blood could have been from them moving him and working on him. You also have to remember when they moved him from the ground into the ambulance, like some of that blood's going to drip, like it's going to get there. Like you can't assume those things, right? Like we can't assume where the blood came from or why it came from. But what we do know is there's no dog DNA. That's what we do know. Well, that's the problem. West Tennessee a few years ago, where a father killed his young son. Local aspiring politician who inserted himself in the case was accusing a random. Of course, I think I heard about this one. Didn't somebody tell me this one the other day? Like, no. Oh, that's awful. To see that hurts my heart. My dad committed suicide, so that one hurts. Like, and people will end their lives over being relentlessly harassed, not because they're guilty, okay? Not because they're guilty, but because it literally is hurting them to the core of their being. Like it's constant harassment, constant threats, constant. If you lived like that, constantly being harassed and threatened and all this, like, do you think like, you know what I mean? Like you would want to like live every day like that? Like, I don't think you would. I think that would be a problem. Like, so I'm just saying, like you guys got to think about like even people who commit suicide for relentless harassment like that, like it's not always because they're guilty. It's because they have been just harassed relentlessly and this is the life they think they're going to live forever and they're never going to be left alone. I've talked to people who have, and funny enough, Aiden's victims from the past who have wanted to commit suicide from being harassed so much relentlessly by these people and have done nothing wrong, but that these people just would not stop, would not stop. He would bring up a dog whistle and here they would go. And that's wrong. Nobody should have to live like that. We have $15 donation from Emily enjoying the live. Thank you, Emily. I appreciate you. Yeah, polycarbonate. Yeah, those can be very sharp, polycarbonate. And that is what the parts of the taillight were. Yeah. Yeah, believe me, I've been falsely accused of a few things since I spoke out. It's ridiculous. I know the kind of stress it puts on you. And one of my best friends, Lindsay, is Aiden's ex, and she that's the stuff. Like she's, that she has to deal with, and it's not okay by any stretch of the imagination. Like it's just not. Like for what, Barry? Like for like what are we speaking of like specifically for the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Like are we talking about the car? Like what are we? I'm just because I know I'm behind in these comments. Yeah, kids being kids. That was my kid. Thank you. Because I'm already back here. See, Nash, that's what we're not gonna do, right? Like I'm bitter. No, I got evidence. That's the thing. See, if you don't want to look at evidence, that's your prerogative, right? But I am not going to ignore evidence. And that kind of stuff gets you banned from here. If you can't have a normal conversation, like, that's on you. Like, then you don't belong here. Sorry. Like, thank you, Barry. I appreciate you. Listen, I don't, I only started knowing about her when this came out, and I know that a lot of it is a problem. So that's another thing. The logic in like being a grifter is, wouldn't I have just kept saying free Karen Reed? Asking for a friend. Like, wouldn't I have just kept getting the amount of donations I was getting, which was like keeping me afloat week by week? Like, wouldn't I have just done that and like ran towards the money and not away from it? Just asking for a friend. It's like kind of how grifting works. No, like, so it's like the logic that people like that use. Like, I can't fix stupid. I just can't do it. Like, I can't fix stupid. I can't. I literally can't. Yeah, I mean, steal away for a shoe. Yeah, the shoe, like, so stupid. Like, oh, the shoe was missing. No, the shoe was never missing. Like, yeah, that was apparently that happened. I haven't seen that. Somebody sent me a clip of that. Brie, maybe you have a clip of it, because like I haven't seen it yet, but you did tell me yesterday, and I forgot to go look. Yeah, well, she spoke many times, sort of, maybe Slanda. She spoke many times publicly, which was a bad mistake. She's filmed pouring it in the shot glass. I don't know. People pretend they don't see a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? It's because it doesn't fit. I don't know. Because it fit their theory, I guess. I don't know. Not sure. No, I have been, actually. I mean, I'm not an attorney per se. I've been studying law for a very long time, but I'm not an attorney. But I actually have. I've given some tweaks and some issues with the prosecution. Lally is very monotone. He doesn't get his questions out right. Sometimes the witnesses are confused as to what the fuck he's even talking about or what he's asking, because the question's so convoluted. Like, I've given many critiques to him, the judge, the defense, like all of it, the whole fucking shebang. Like, the things the cops should have done or could have done. Yeah, sure. Like, I'm not saying any, like, we've talked about a lot of that here. When you guys, the ones who are, you guys who are with me most days, like, no, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know why, and I have done it from the point of view of them, because I've said it's a legal tactic the way they're doing what they're doing. They didn't start with dropping all of the evidence because it was a legal tactic to first debunk the conspiracy, then drop all the evidence at the end of their case, so that when the defense starts their case, the prosecution can keep in the front of the mind of the jury where the evidence is and what happened. So like, they can debunk the defense's conspiracy theory with the evidence they just saw. So we've talked about this a few times. I know you're not always in here with me, Barry, but if you go back there, like, I do usually talk about how both sides are doing. Like, I even have critiques when the judge, like, she's sometimes like yesterday, she was like huffing and puffing at, I think it was even just the prosecution yesterday. She was so like, to be bothered. And I'm like, lady, it's your job. Like, sorry that you're so bothered. Like, too rich something, and I forget that. Are you talking about Jackson and Yannetti? I'm confused. Yeah, the Murdoch victims were obvious homicide victims. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna hear from the ME too, and remember, it's a 100-page report. You guys saw about a page. Rich Feinstein is pro defense. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a cesspool. Yeah, it's a cesspool. Is that what we're talking about? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I didn't, because I ever blocked. I heard about it. But I know if I unblock her, I'm going to lose my ever loving mind, because clearly that account is tied to Aiden, Meredith, and I believe also Jess Machado, it's clear because the only people who would hate her, me, Grant, Kate, all that much would be anybody connected to Aiden. So thank you for telling on yourself, dummy. Also, they can say whatever they want about me. And at this point, like, they're irrelevant. They can say whatever it is that they want to say. I'm not going to stop speaking truth. I'm not going to stop supporting my friend. Like, so they can say whatever it is they want to say about me. I tell them, I don't give a fuck. Say whatever you want. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to sit there and talk about my friend's kids or say something like, you need to get help with your, or, alcohol abuse or your whatever abuse or drug problem. Like, dude, she's been sober 6 years. Sit the hell down, and it takes several seats. You can't take that from her. No matter how much you type behind a fake account, you can't take her sobriety from her. So fuck right off. Like, her children are the only thing she ever does all day long is take care of her children and worry about her children. Okay. First of all, her house is freaking immaculate. Okay. Immaculate. She's like OCD immaculate. Okay. She's constantly standing at that stove cooking multiple meals for all 4 kids. Like, the only thing she ever does is take care of her kids 24/7. So for anybody to say any different means to me that you clearly don't know her from a hole in the wall, or you're just salty. And your name is Aiden Kearney, and you're mad that someone finally spoke up and wasn't going to allow you to blackmail them, coerce them, and threaten them into silence like you have done so many years previous and has worked for you for so many years, that you came across people who were no longer going to allow you to do those things. And then you still tried to do it again with the Roccos. Like, I've never seen someone shoot themselves in the foot so much, but when you have an ego the size of China, and you seem to think you're untouchable, apparently that's what you do, right? When you're like that big of a narcissist. I don't know. Like, the Emmy has a lot to say when it comes to this. Well, yeah, wait until you hear the Emmy report, though. It's 100 pages long, and she makes it clear, like, there was no fight. Like, yeah, I'm guessing she didn't want him going in there and talking to Higgins, because then that would blow up her spot that, like, she had kissed Higgins and maybe he would spill the beans. Like, and she didn't want that. She didn't want him in there. Like, so they got in an argument because she did not want him going inside. You know, like, absolutely, Barry. Oh, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. But the jury also has to see at this point that they're also like that Jackson and Unetti are literally trying to change witnesses' statements and words as they're on the stand. And almost every witness has called them on it. So like they're also seeing all of that. All of that is coming to like the jury's like, if I'm a jury member and I'm sitting there and they're trying to change the way I'm saying things or change the context, and then the witness is literally saying, well, you're spinning what I said, or like, that's not what I said at all, and this was in relation to something else, and I don't ask the question, I was asked this question, I answered this question. So you just didn't say it because you weren't asked? Yeah, that's how a grand jury works, bud. They ask questions, I answer. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how it works. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's not a thing. Like, so for me, it's like, it's silly. Like, silly for anyone to sit here and think that like they somehow, some way, have this giant conspiracy going that can't be proven. And no matter what evidence you throw at them, it's, oh, well, they're just all liars. They're liars because you said they're liars. You're liars because Aiden said they're liars. Are they actually really lying? That's what matters. And what they actually really said matches everything they've said in 3 grand juries. So, not sure what you mean. Oh, no, they absolutely can be. I'm just going by what they're seeing in the courtroom, and they're seeing a lot more that she did it than she didn't. Yeah, those punctures are definitely not from a dog. I would promise you that. There's also no dog DNA. Definitely good points. They're absolutely good points. But I think those will be cleared up fairly shortly in short order. With the Emmy and a couple other things. So, hey. Yeah, that's the problem because of the internet. Of course, Grant, of course. It's awful. Nobody should have to go through any of that ever. Like, ever. Maybe we're talking about the crime scene. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure. Yes. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, I'm sure. And no, he did not like it. Yep. Closing the loop on when CPD left the scene unsecured and CERT assumed its response. Okay, yeah. So as I understood it, they had someone in a cruiser, but at some point left. But if they reasonably thought nobody was going to come across a crime scene, like, it's Blizzard, who's really going to, you know what I mean? And also they did find the pieces of taillight under the snow. They weren't floating on top like Aiden told you. They were under the snow. They dug for them, which I found out back in November. And there was the pictures with the actual dig marks from the thing. Yeah. Yeah. Mary, I was with Mary for that. And yeah. Yeah. Like, so wild. Like the shoe too. Like, we're still talking about a shoe. Like, what, dude? Like, I mean, she's a crazy person. Does that count? Like, yeah, she's not from Mansfield. She was raised in Taunton. That is correct. That is correct, Mary. Oh, interesting. If you can't find it, I'll look later. Yeah, I know. I'm like, poor friggin' Jerry, dude. If I'm the Jerry, I'm like, you ain't shutting that goddamn AC off or I'm out of here. Like, especially in those hot ass days. Like, but hey, but you gotta, like, you want them to speak louder. I'm like, how much louder can they speak? They'd be like screaming, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell? Like, that's crazy talk. Like, okay, so you guys have to remember, right, that these people that Jess Machado and Aiden are talking about, the jury, like, again, they want you to believe the jury believes this giant conspiracy theory. So I wouldn't take anything they say seriously. They work together. Okay. So everything Aiden and Jess Machado says, like, I would pretty much just ignore because I have insight from actual real reporters in that courtroom that tell me it's literally the polar opposite of what they keep describing. And it's wild how they keep doing it. Like, and I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, no, completely opposite of what they're saying. And it's freaking wild. Like, I'm okay. Well, FYI, I'm trying to get a press pass, just so everybody knows. I can say trying, I am getting a press pass. It's that simple. Citizen journalist, and it's right in the statute. They have no way to deny me. If they do, they're not going to like what my attorney files. Well, that's the problem. He has a lot riding on it, and he's never going to admit to being wrong because he knows that he will lose half of his 50,000 to 60. And I think he was low counting that $45,000 to $50,000 a month on this case. What? So he loses that if he says that she is probably guilty and that he knows more than he told everyone. There was multiple of them, actually. He actually loves to go after women mostly, funny enough. Does that tell you anything? Coward. Like, yeah. Right. But she said remember, she said, I had no intent. I was not going to stay in Canton. He wouldn't leave Kaylee alone. You weren't going to say that, but he moved his car for you. That doesn't make sense. Like, yeah, well, that's the problem is like they did. Like, you have to remember, like, the whole story was fed to Aiden by Karen. There was no investigative journalism. He didn't investigate anything. Everything was fed to him from her. And multiple of the things that they said have been false. The basement, the house, the dog. Like, you can go on and on. The shoe, the belt. Like, keep going with all of it. Like, Scanlon had no idea who Colin Albert even was. Like, so we can keep on going and going and going and going with some of these things that, like, he said, Scanlon is the one who saw it and flipped on him. That didn't happen. So again, like, there all these things that he's lied about, but it was all fed to him from Karen. So what'd you expect, right? Like, what'd you expect? Oh, absolutely. Well, but he's used pictures of his kids in the bath to try to frame another YouTuber, Ryan Waters. If you missed that fucking fiasco, that was a couple of years ago. So that's like 2 years ago. He used a picture of his own children, tried to frame this kid, this other YouTuber, for child pornography by making his turtle rider say that he sent it. They made a fake account that he sent it and literally even brought it into court as evidence, which is why we've been telling you he's also tried to do the same thing in the case with Lindsay. He's brought in fake evidence into court. Like, it's a real thing he's been doing for years, though. It's a pattern of behavior. It's not something that just popped up right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still going through these comments, but while I'm doing that, I can always use the support. I know it's small. People have been asking me, like, can you make it bigger? I made it bigger. Check my messenger. Okay, we'll do that. Hold on. 1 second. Melanie Little, yeah, she's just too much for me. She looks angry 24/7. I don't know. His skin in the game is money, honey. Money and all the followers he's gained from this. His skin in the game is that he doesn't get all that if he has to admit that he's wrong or was wrong or he was feeding people false information. People will know that he was lying the entire time and he has no explanation for that. He can't explain that it was all about greed, money, fame, power. He thought he was getting, Netflix documentaries about himself and all these things, TV shows. And when he didn't get that, and when Nick got on TV and was on the radio, he got angry. He got jealous. And as we see what happened with that, it's the same thing he does to anyone else. I can literally predict the behavior. Actually, I did. If we go back to my my lives about a week and 2 weeks before he finally attacked the Roccos, I said T-5 minutes before he attacks the Roccos because he's becoming awfully jealous. It's a thing. Like, it's an actual real life thing. Like, well, she is definitely invested. Oh, it'll be a very sweet day. I have champagne ready for that day. Yeah, I mean, I've heard people do like Emily D. Baker, and I want to like her, but at the same time, I mean, come on, critical thinking skills here, dude. I mean, everybody's not gonna everybody to love everyone, like not everybody loves me, but mostly their hatred for me is all the same people who are saying, you're awesome, you're so smart, Elise, like you're like all these same people until Aiden said, she's bad, she's a criminal, she's a grifter, she's riding my coattails, like all these things, right? Like, and then it was, you're bad, you're awful, you're terrible, and then he did it to Sean twice. Did Sean first and then after. And then there was multiple Jules. There's multiple other people in between. All these people, and then it just goes down the line. It doesn't matter who you are. The Glare, LTL, they're men. So he doesn't often attack men, but 99.9% is going to be women, And for him to call anybody a grifter is amazing. When he said that I wasn't allowed to make any money for people donating for my stream when I covered the Halloween thing because it was a fundraiser, but he failed to mention to anyone, hid this from his whole audience, that he made $1,500 at a fundraiser that he was supposed to be donating his fucking time to. So he's just a hypocrite. He wants to do what he wants to do, and then he wants to dictate to you the way that you're allowed to make money, where you're allowed, when you're allowed, why you're allowed. Doesn't matter how much work you put in. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's he gets to say when you're bad and when you're not bad. And also, you can't do it, but he can because he's hiding it. You're the ultimate hypocrite and grifter, bro. I mean, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. Probably not going to print a press pass. I'm probably going to go through the correct channels for that. Yeah. I mean, she's a crazy person who also had a restraining order on her for 3 years from another woman. No, he's definitely not handsome. That's for damn sure. He's got short arms and he's angry gremlin. Okay. So we already went over that. Basement carpet redone before John ever died. And there's also receipts and insurance claims for that. Also, you'll never hear Aiden or the defense talk about it because it's a non-issue. 2 phones were not tossed the day before they were requested. As a matter of fact, Brian Albert didn't toss it. He turned it in and he got a new phone. And that was a month before, not a day before. Go look at the paperwork. It was a month before any order was handed. And B, Brian Higgins, it was denied. The order was denied. The order was denied. And you're going to tell me that a video of Colin's knuckles from a month later. So someone's knuckles are going to look like that a month later? Please use your brain cells. Please, we've already debunked some of these. Please use your brain cells. Right. What? In anticipation, right? They knew, so ridiculous. Before. It was fixed before. There's insurance claims for that. That's why you'll never hear the defense talk about it in trial. That's why you'll never hear Aiden talk about it again, because he knows that. And instead of correcting the record, he just lets you guys think it, so you keep spreading the conspiracy. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Especially after he wrote that article calling her a snatch donkey. I'm not really sure. Like, right. Not only that, but a video, like, again, the picture of him is from a month later. So you're going to tell me some of these knuckles like that? Like, the floor was replaced before John died, from flooding. Before. What am I correcting? I don't know if I already did. I'm trying to get through all these comments of you guys and like try to catch up. Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. He does it little by little. So he sends little dog whistles out that he's about to do something. Like, that's how I knew he was turning on the Roccos. Like, and then it happens. Like, oh, I love you. I didn't know you were here. Of course, I love you. I will, I promise. I'm just trying to catch I will check everybody's messages, I promise. Just give me a minute. I love your face, just so you know. I mean, you already know that, but I love your face. Right, bro? I've been in quite a few fights, but usually it's when someone's bullying someone else, and I'm not down with the bullies. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you? Ooh, do tell, Missy. Mm-hmm. Tell him to go fuck himself. I've done that quite a few times. Oh, yeah, I've hit the heavy bag a million times without wraps. That was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, what do you mean, dude? My oldest daughter's father was a boxer, like, and we had heavy bags, and I used to hit them all the time with no wraps. Why would I? It's at home. It's exercise. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's really nice of you, Anastasia. And I know she appreciates it. She really does. Lindsay Strong. Hashtag Lindsay Strong. That's our new hashtag, just so everybody knows. I don't know. I mean, it's not that you're pretty down the middle. I mean, the problem is like, you can't buy into a conspiracy theory with like plenty of stuff that shows it isn't, and buying into things without checking, especially things like the basement, the shoe, the belt that were never missing, the basement that was done before, the orders about the phones that people are saying wrong days and wrong. Like, Brian Higgins was denied. It was denied. Also, he throws his trash out on the base. He didn't just go throw just the phone out there. It's literally where he throws his trash out, because there's no trash pickup in that town. I had to do the same thing. I tell my aunt to come here and dump it because I have dumpsters, and she's in Kingston, and there's no trash pickup in Kingston. There's a dump and you have to pay for it. So I tell her to just bring it here and dump it in my dumpster. Like, yeah, well, that's another problem. Like, people should be allowed to say their thing without being kicked out, as long as they're not harassing other people, calling people names. I mean, I like Surviving the Survivor. Don't get me wrong. I like Joel. I like Surviving the Survivor. I just have a few little things that I'm like, all right, well, maybe if you talk to someone like over here, you would get it, but like, they don't bother to do that. So nothing I can do about that. Ooh, I'm gonna have to check that one out. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was named after a man riding a turtle. It's like a sculpture, Well, there was one time that he was supposed to donate half, and he certainly didn't. He did like 1,500 or something instead of like 2,000, which is like, okay, why? Like, but then he has something to say about everyone else, especially when people like me are completely transparent. Like, oh, I'm going on 16 years. Lindsay's 6. I'm 16. So I don't know how many months that is. Count it up. I think it means teeny beanie, which is non-branded. I mean, does it also mean red dipped in Kool-Aid teeny weeny beanie? Just wondering. Like, just wondering. Aiden probably has like 3 minutes clean. Does that count? I love you guys for this. Smoking gun carpet. Yeah, the carpet that never was. Like, the people are idiots. Like, there's actual real life like insurance claims for that, you geniuses. Like, No, okay, let me just full disclosure here. Maui is my daughter's German Shepherd. He's a service animal, and I promise you, um, since I've seen him bite his stupid bone, this giant bone, you can look at those marks. And I looked at these recently again because I was like, wait, let me just make sure in my brain, like, and the toys that he rips apart, for God's sake, it's not even the correct pattern. It's not even the goddamn correct pattern. Like, yeah, the carpet, the belt, the shoe. Like, the fuck? Come on now. Oh, okay. Awesome. I promise you, I'm trying to catch up on all these comments. I know I'm like super duper behind here. I'm behind by 3 minutes only now. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think that's also happening. Ignorance reviews. And I refuse to fucking do that. I don't care. I've done many streams all week long. Listen, I'm only smoking a half a pack a day, sometimes not even now. That is the first one I have smoked all day, and it's 108. Got my little vapey here. I'm doing good. Give me my credit where it's due, man. Like, I refuse to play ignorant for views. I will not fucking do it, dude. I've lost a lot of money doing that. Like, but it's what's right, dude. It's common sense and decency. Like, I mean, yeah, it does. It covers floors. Love you guys. Oh my God, right? Like, listen, I'm no one to say shit about teeth. I have missing teeth from having my face punched in by my abuser. So anybody that feels the need to attack people like that is just ridiculous. Like, I've lost one over here. I have cracked ones here and here from being a victim of domestic violence. And like, I'm sorry, but you have no idea. Like, my husband lost one over here from being hit in the face with a softball, playing softball, right? Like, so what are you gonna call him, a drug addict? She's never been arrested a day in his life, but he's a bad person because he's lost a tooth, or we're gonna make fun of that. Like, stop it. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you're gonna cry about people mocking you or calling you names when you think it's okay to do it to other people. Like, don't be soft, then don't do it to other people, and that bad karma wouldn't come back to you. Put good karma in the world. The good karma will come back around. If you put bad karma in the world, that's what's going to happen to you. Bad karma is going to come back. It's that simple. It's not hard. Like, you know, hey, you go, girl. You go, girl. Yeah. Listen, I don't care if you have 5 minutes clean or 5 days clean. Clean is clean, dude. And nobody can take that from you. You can't take my 16 years clean and say, you're not clean because we said so. We said that you're an opiate addict and you have an old criminal record, so you're a bad person. Like, anybody who knows me in real life is laughing at you, just so you know. Like, anybody saying that about me who clearly does not know, anybody saying anything like that about me, that I'm a bad person, I'm a grifter, that like, you clearly don't know me in real life, because anybody in real life is literally pointing and laughing at you. Because it's like the polar opposite of who I am as a person and the things that I do on a daily basis. You go, girl. You all go. You all go, Glen Coco. Like, I love it. Yeah, I just think he remembered, was it Jen who was wearing a puffy coat? I think it was Jen. It was either Jen or Carrie. One of them was wearing like a puffy black coat with like a hood. I think that he probably remembered that and just correlated it with John. But, oh, I hope not. I mean, I want to like her. I've heard very good things about her. Like, listen, my chat can get big sometimes too, but I still address mostly every comment. Like, I don't, like, listen, even when my chat was going 5 miles a minute, like a mile a minute, like when it was just going back when I thought Karen was innocent, even when it was scrolling like that, like, I still pretty much addressed almost every comment. Like, I mean, you got to take the time to do it. You got to take the time to, and even if I don't catch it the first time, like if you just say it a second time, or like, like, I'll get it. I'll see it. Like, I think they ignore them on purpose because they're waiting for like donos and super chats. And I've seen people do that. And I'm like, but if you don't interact with your audience, why the fuck would they want to come back and watch you? I'm just wondering. Like, just asking for a friend. Like, if you're just ignoring them, like, what? Like, and maybe they can't donate. Maybe they don't have it like that. Like, maybe they're just trying to watch someone they enjoy. Like, why can't they do that? Somebody over here told me the other day, they came in and told me that they donated $1 one time to Aiden, and he said it wasn't enough and to never do that again. And he's not going to read it out loud if you donate $1. And I was fucking flabbergasted. Like, wait, what? You're too good for a fucking dollar, dude. Like, it's something that they offered you that they may not have had a lot of. Like, you can't recognize that. Like, you're too narcissistic to take like, what? That's fucking crazy to me. Like, well, I think, I don't know. Some people have figured out how to do it. No, I mean, there's more of you watching on Twitter than anything right now. I'm on 3 platforms and there's 214 of you total watching. So, and most of you are from X, Twitter. Some people have figured out how to type a comment on Twitter, but not everyone. See how there's a little sort of, maybe see how there's like a little YouTube thing next to your picture there? That shows what platform you're commenting from, because all my comments come in a row, even if they're so that's why I try to pop them up on the screen, because if you're on YouTube, you're not going to see the comments from people on Facebook, or you're not going to see the people from comments on X. So I try to pop them up so everyone can see who I'm talking to, right? Like, hey, listen, 30K, there might not be, a chance to see all of them, but like, you got to do your best at least to try, dude. Like, if you're just not reading anything anyone's writing and you're only reading the super chats, like, I have a problem with that. I'm sorry. Like, if you're not interacting with at least some people in your chat who aren't sending super chats, like, I don't care if I had 5 million people. I don't give a shit if I was Mr. Beast size. Like, I'm still going to read some of the other comments of other people. You can stop it yourself. You can literally stop it like I did earlier. You can stop it and go down them yourself. Like, obviously with 30K people, that would take hours upon hours that you can't do. But like, if you just skipped through and like tried to, get nail key points or things that people said, like, you could still do it. Like, it does. It absolutely does. So like, if you can't donate, like, your best thing for anybody you're watching that you like is that like and share the link on your social medias, because that's how other people find channels, and that's how the algorithm boosts people to be seen by other people. Hey, I like to bounce too, so it's okay. I don't know, like, I only have like really one rule. It's don't attack people. Like, I don't know, like, don't attack people. Like, YouTube has like their own specific rules of like, you're not supposed to promote other people's channels and like stupid shit like that. But like, I'm not down with that. Like, if I want to promote someone's channel who I think is good, like, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, period. No ifs, ands, or freaking buts about it. Like, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody's donation here. You guys, I got a funny comment. You guys want to hear this one? So this person comes on and says, what facts have you gone over? Any pre-trial motions, anything at all that would clue you and your followers into the real truth? Just asking. Tell me you've never watched me without telling me you've never ever watched me. What? Carvana Beethoven. Yeah. I have gone over almost all of that in extensive amounts. So is that a real question? Like, I've gone over plenty of the facts. You can't be mad because it's not the facts that you want to hear. The facts that you want to hear are conspiracies that are not facts. Those are not facts. I'm sorry to tell you. Okay. I absolutely have done pre-trial motions. I've done this almost entire goddamn case. Like, what do you mean? I've been started last year, like, on this. I live here. Like, what I attended court. What do you mean? Like, yeah, I have. I've covered a lot. I've read every goddamn court document in this entire freaking trial. So yeah, I have. So the comment is, which facts have you gone over? All of them. And then some. The pretrial motions have been gone over a billion times, dude. Like, I've went over all of them. What do you mean? Ugh. Like, come on. Well, these are on YouTube. This is on my Karen Reed Case Talk one. So it was just like a chit, like it wasn't like an in-depth one. That's not what we were doing. But yeah, that's weird. I would have thought there would have been more. I mean, I like commentary too. Like for me, I need the commentary too. I'm one of those people that need the commentary. So I totally hear you on that. Like, well, that's good. That's a good thing, right? Like, I just hate these rumors of crap that like isn't actually true, like not real life. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But for somebody to say, like, what facts have you gone over? Tell me you don't watch me without telling me you don't watch me. I've went over all of them extensively. Like, what do you mean? We just did just now too. Like, what do you mean? I covered all the pre-trial. Like, what? I just told you in pre-trial that friggin' the witnesses were cleared and are not under an investigation. Like, who knows? There's no rhyme or reason to some of these people. Like, well, this person's like saying, like, what facts have you gone over? Like, you went pre-trial, like basically trying to say that I haven't went through like all the facts in depth. Like, dude, I've been covering this case since last year. So even if you want to go back to when I thought she was innocent, I still covered like what was in the documents. Like, so stop it. Like, yeah, sad. But again, it's because everybody wants to buy into a good conspiracy theory. I mean, that's just a real life. Like, everybody wants it. Like, watch you, but Jason, I have to check it out. Check it out. You know what I mean? Clearly, this person has never watched me. Like, that's another thing. Like, if you're just coming there to troll, anything that at all would clue you and your followers to the real truth. I talk about the real truth every goddamn day. We're doing this in real time, guys. Almost every goddamn day. Like, I am live now. That's what I find funny. Is like, we went over plenty of facts today. I've went over many, many facts all along the way. Like, oh God, I don't even answer some of these people in these Facebook groups. Like, I say what I want to say and that's it. Like, so if all of you like turtle, smarty pants people want to sit there and be like, no, that's not what happened. No, okay, like I'll let you watch the trial and then come back to me when you sound silly. And I'll wait for the apology. Cool. We'll do that. That sounds like a cool idea to me. Like, just saying. All right. Is there anything? Because I'm gonna put this up. Is there anything that some of you guys like haven't like don't understand or like haven't heard talked about in a while or like anything like that? Because I find that some people, it's easier to explain to them things when they come to me with like, I want to know about this, or what about this, or this was talked about, but I don't really understand it, or like, why did they legally do this? Like, question. It is a question, or is it a statement about how awesome you are and I am? I'm just wondering, like, asking for a friend, like, I am. Yeah, I don't know. Why do cats do that too? They find them in bags, boxes, anything of that sort. I love you. I love you. See, like, I don't mind people sort of being on the fence or not like understanding like certain things. Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. Wow, that would have been a really big waste of. Can you imagine though if the Canton PD was stalking with that? Isn't like for 30 years and not one homicide or like like can you imagine? Like that would have been they would have been bitching and whining about how much taxpayer money was wasted at those beautiful select board meetings. That's what would have happened. Let's get real. That's exactly what would have happened. They'd have been complaining about it. Like, Oh God. So I've heard them. Those are, I don't have words for what they are. Cray cray. They're cray cray. That's what they are. Like, oh yes, voicemails that Karen left John that night about how she hates him. Yeah. So yeah, voicemails, text messages, her phone data, his phone data, the infotainment system, the ER data in her car. They're gonna go over the middle of the sorry, my brain is on like fart mode this morning. I have not had a coffee, and so like excuse my brain. The middle console, camera, the backup alarms, what you have to do to bypass those backup alarms. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty bad. Yeah, they're pretty bad. And it's not going to help her case any, that's for sure. She's not testifying on her own behalf. So like she would get ruined in cross-examination, so she can't testify on her own behalf. I'm gonna tell you now though, if I was an innocent person and I had explanations for everything, I'd be testifying. So I can explain all the explanations that I have for everything. The only reason you don't testify is because you can get ruined on cross-examination. I know, right? Imagine. Yeah, but you know what? You know, people who do that, people who record you losing it like that, are people who are like trying to manipulate you. Like, yeah, I mean, who hasn't said some like crazy shit to their ex? The problem is, or their boyfriend. But the problem is, yeah, abusers. Bingo. That's right. That's right. Yep. Um, Listen, I'm a domestic violence survivor. And I don't say victim because it's been 18, 19, 19, 20 years with my oldest daughter's father. But I'm a survivor of domestic violence because I have survived almost being killed multiple times. But yeah, like, I love that they call me, it's not me, it's Patricia. Everyone has an alter ego when they're mad, right? Like, you got to name them. Like, you have Patricia. I have Elizabeth. Like, it's crazy. Like, well, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. So that's my point. Is like it's bad because of the timing. It's not bad because of like per se what she said. It's bad because of the timing of what she said and when she said it. Like, that's right. Mm. I like to think of myself as a survivor and not a victim, right? So that I can help other victims and survivors. Like, so, I can pretty much sniff out an abuser from a mile away. Uh, yeah, me too. You provoke me, like, you're gonna get, yeah, absolutely. Which is why, like, Chrissy Mello was probably not smart to like start a problem with me at the courthouse and come find me, because like if you didn't want to get punched in the face, whether I'm in a courthouse or not, then don't come to me in my face and run your mouth. Because I will happily sit in the jail cell and wait for somebody to bail me out because you talk too much shit to too many people for no goddamn reason. Like, right? Like, right? You gotta get something salty and sweet. Chocolate covered pretzels. Like, well, but she's not gonna. She's not going to, because she would get ruined on cross examination. There is no way that she can testify. None. Zero. There's no way. None at all. Not a shot in hell. Ooh. Sorry, guys. I just want to check for any donations. I don't want to miss anyone. I don't see any alerts, but like sometimes like Venmo, it won't do it until you open it for some reason. I don't know if it's just not updated right, or I have to update it or something. Nothing in the Cash App. There's nothing there. Check Venmo, because that's the one that seems to like not do it when I want it to. Nope, I think I named all of you. I think. Yep, I did. Okay. Chocolate and French fries. Ooh, that sounds good. Well, that's another thing. Yeah, no. So like there's just a lot, she's just not gonna, it's just not a chance in hell that she's going to testify. Zero chance. In my opinion, there's zero fucking chance that she testifies. And I mean, the defense's witnesses are pretty much no one. So, did I hit him? So, did I hit him, or I hit him, or could I have hit him? Is all indicative of her realizing she did something, right? Did I hit him? Could I have hit him? But the problem with that is when you're waking his niece up and saying he got hit by a plow like right away, and then you're reiterating that to other people. Why would you think that? Why would that be the first thing you think unless you started remembering that, like, uh-oh, she hit something. She thought she hit something. Not someone, but she said something. Well, at least that's what Mr. Reed says. Something, not someone, something. Either way, if you're telling Jen McCabe before you ever leave the house that morning that your taillight is cracked in front of Kaylee, like, that's before she bumped into John's car going 2 miles an hour. Also, this is the funny part to me about the conspiracy theory, is that her cracked taillight came from hitting John's car at like 2 miles an hour. But it didn't come from her hitting a human. Because that definitely makes sense. Yep, definitely. Like, what? Also, nobody over there finds it suspicious that the ring cam footage was deleted from her coming back to the house after John was hit until she left again. So all of the cam footage from in between has been deleted. And at first it was, oh, well, they must have had John's phone and then they threw it out in the lawn. So the cops or the witnesses deleted it. Except we know now from his phone data that his phone never left where he was. So that would not have been possible. And John was incapacitated. So there was only one person that could have had access to those ring cams, and it was Karen. But they refused to take that into consideration in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, because I don't call him Officer O'Keefe. They're his friends and family. I wouldn't either. I'd call him John. Like, yeah. Oh, that's going to be a doozy too. Forgot about that. Yeah. The hospital staff. Yeah. Yeah. How dare they call him by his actual name? Yeah. Well, I mean, I think she's already sunk. That's the thing. Yep. His phone was underneath him. Well, it is grasping when that's their proof. I mean, that's the problem, though, is that they continue to do this and try to pull things into the conspiracy box. And, like, I'm sorry, but, like, the real life evidence that's going to come out in the trial is going to take each one of those grasps and throw it out of the conspiracy box. Like, it's not there. I'm sorry. Like, and I've known this for quite some time, and hence the speaking out. Like, I chose to remain quiet for quite some time and say nothing. Because I knew too much non-public information. And I didn't want to accidentally slip anything. So I said, you know what? The trial's starting. Here I go. Because there's nothing to keep in really anymore, you know, except for the few things that are coming in trial. And I usually tell you guys about a day or two ahead of time before it's about to be shown or whatever. If I know about it, then I usually tell you guys. So you guys who are usually with me every day, Brianna, like some of you guys know that. So, yeah, well, this is like, okay, like, what does Kevin say? Logic and evidence, right? Logic and evidence. Like, it's that simple. Logic and evidence. The evidence is nobody else could have deleted that ring cam footage. Why is the cam footage, like, deleted? Especially from when she returns from 34 Fairview, where it would have shown her cracked taillight. Why is it deleted? Like, they're not. They're never gonna. Never gonna. They're gonna keep denying, and just saying everyone's corrupt and they're all lying until the end of time. Until the end of time. They're just gonna keep saying, like, none of the evidence can be trusted because everyone's a liar and it's police corruption, and even though it doesn't fit and it doesn't make logical sense, they're gonna all keep saying that because it doesn't fit the conspiracy narrative. None of those hardcore people are ever gonna turn the light bulb on in their head and go, oh shit, I was fed that and we were told that, but that can't be true because this. It's never going to happen. I don't have faith that that's going to happen. I have faith that people who are just coming into this case If they find me or they find other people who can actually show them some of the facts. Like, what do you mean, will I agree? No, I will not agree. Like, what do you mean, will I agree? No, I don't agree because the evidence does not prove her not guilty. Will I accept it as that's what it is in the court of law? Absolutely. But I have too much evidence that she committed the crime. Like, and I think the jury has enough evidence to also say she is guilty. Like, yes, exactly. It will take on a whole new, like, yeah, 4 or 5, not even. So it was like 12:30. At 4, she started waking up at 4 something. She started waking people up and texting people at like 4 something. So not even 4 or 5 hours. Like, that's the problem. Like, yeah, it is wild, Mary. I agree. The same thing. Like, usually it's like every day. I don't know why they're taking so many days off. Like, I don't. Like, um, I mean, everything, there wasn't enough evidence though there either. Like, if I'm a jury member either, like, what evidence did they have against Casey Anthony, really? There were a lot of circumstantial things, but like, it's not like they had like what they have here. Like, they have a lot here. Like, right. I don't know if she ever went to sleep. Although there is a gap in the records that I have from her phone at like stops at like, but again, that might only be what I have. I don't know. But it stops around like end of like 3, like around 3-ish until 4, like 20 or whatever it is. So like there's only like a very short gap. So if she did fall asleep, she only fell asleep for like an hour. Like, yeah, she got a lot of huffing and puffing. Well, that's the thing. You change your view when you're presented with new information, right? Like, and so like I love when people are like, you're just a flip flopper. You just flipped because Aiden called you out. Aiden didn't call me out. Aiden had an adult tantrum because I didn't lie for him to Lindsay, and Lindsay can confirm that, as she already has. That's what happened. Like, like there was no calling me out. He got mad I didn't lie for him and made up a bunch of bullshit. Like, that's not calling someone out. And then I said I'm not responding to an adult tantrum. Like, he's having an adult tantrum because he was caught lying to multiple women. That's not my problem. That's his. Like, so like, you know what I mean? Come on now. Like, ridiculous. Like, it's just utterly ridiculous to me. Like, he didn't call anyone out. And then people are like, well, you changed your mind after Aiden called you out. Actually, no. If you go back and watch my shows, even after he had his adult tantrum, I still believed she was innocent up until I got sick. When I got sick is when I got the evidence dumped on me at that time. It was between like the time I got sick at the beginning, and I was really sick. You can ask Mary. She literally saw me in all that time, and I was on the phone there almost every day. I was very sick for like 6 weeks, dude. These coughing fits were lasting like minutes. I couldn't even like talk without having these giant coughing fits. Like, it was awful. But like, evidence was given. Like, and so I can't just be like, oh shit, this doesn't fit this, and I still think she's innocent, even with all this that shows that clearly that's not the case. Like, no. If the evidence says otherwise, then you have to admit that you were wrong. It's harder to admit you were wrong than to keep lying about it. Like, keep saying you think something when you actually know it to not be true. The second I realized that I was wrong, dude, I was like, ah, shit. I was fucking wrong. Like, it's that simple. I was wrong. Like, it has nothing to do with Aiden. I can't stand him. I don't like him. There's no secret that I don't like him. He's a fucking bully. He's a liar, a pathological liar, and a bully. And I don't like people like that. Sorry. It's not a thing. But I'm not like, yeah, when you're going to act like that, you're 42 years old, go the fuck up, dude. And you're all mad because like someone called you, like, no one lied for you. You're not my buddy. I'm not going to lie for you. Sorry. Like, didn't know I had to either. So there's that. But it's not because Aiden called me out. He didn't call anything out. He had a tantrum. Like, it's because I had evidence to show this is not clearly what happened. So I changed my mind. My hatred for Aiden is a separate thing than whether I think Karen is innocent or not, because I would have loved nothing more than to her to be innocent, because I'm not a fan of the cops. I'm not a fan of injustices. I've been fighting injustices for 18 years as an unpaid advocate. It's what I do. on a daily fucking basis for people. So like, I would have loved nothing more than for her to be innocent. That would have fit right into like the things that I do on a daily basis. Like, but it didn't. The evidence doesn't fit there. So like people's hatred for him and whether they think Karen's innocent or guilty, maybe it has something to do with one another for some people. But I can only speak for me. And for me, those two things don't correlate. He still sucks at life, whether she's innocent or guilty. Doesn't really fucking matter. Even if she's innocent, he still sucks. He's still a terrible person and a pathological liar and a smearer. All to cover his own ass. It's gross. Like, come on. Agreed. 100% agreed. Sorry, I'm going to go up here a little. Hold on. Yeah, Jose Baez is slimy. That's, I mean, but he also got Aaron Hernandez off on that other one. So, I mean, I guess his slime works, right? Like, but he is slimy. A slimy slime. Yeah, and that's another thing. We're going to just keep ignoring the fact that her blood alcohol content was through the fucking roof and they gave her 2 hours leeway that they didn't have to give her. Like, come on. And hey, you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to go back and forth. That's your prerogative. Like, you're okay. Like, you're more than welcome to come here and, you know, talk, like have some like good debates, critical debates, and like talk it back and forth. Like, I don't know many channels you can do that. If you don't believe what the host is saying, like you're thrown out. You're gone. Like, you don't get thrown out here unless you're attacking someone else. If you're going to call the witnesses names, or you're going to call any of my other, you know, viewers names, or you're going to personally attack them, me, or anyone else, you're going to get the boot. And then you wasted your finger push-ups for all the time you wrote those things. But if you just want to have, like, you just want information and you just want to like learn and you just want to like maybe have a good debate because you don't like think what I think, and like, let's do that. Like, that's how like things happen in life. If people have civil debates about it, they come to a middle ground and like they change the world, like literally. Like, so like, let's do that, right? Like, we can do that as normal people. I don't know many channels right now covering this case that you can do that in. If there's another one, please let me know. But as long as you're not attacking other people, that's all I ask. It's literally all I ask. Yeah, she's like, enough comments. Enough with the damn comments. Like, enough ridiculousness. Like, yep. I told her, don't even answer him. It's not worth your time. He'll go ballistic if you just don't answer him. It's that simple. I'm sorry that keeps popping up. It pops up every time I take a comment down. Hold on. I gotta fix it. Okay. He does. It's always women. Always women. It's funny, isn't it? It is. And it doesn't stop. No. If he like if people are starting to realize like he's a scumbag, and like they're starting to realize from people who have dealt with him, like he gets mad and he goes in for attacking them again. And it's like, dude, you're so predictable at this point. And then that just proves the point of like why he does what he does, because it's hiding his own shit. It's covering his own ass. It's all it's ever been about. Money, fame, covering his own ass, and covering his own lies. That's it. And jealousy. Clearly jealous of Nick Rocco. Like, dude, sorry, but he doesn't run around like, I don't know, harassing people and using a mob to do it. Like, yeah, the corrective instructions of the jury to ignore the lawyers. Yeah, that was given for the defense because they won't shut the fuck up. Like, because they won't stop making comments to try to like poison the jury pool. Like, misogynist, yeah. Oh yeah. I know it's not that fun. It is exhausting. Like, it was exhausting. Wait, what? Round plastic thing on the screen at the end of the day yesterday. They went to sidebar. We're not still talking about the glass pieces, right? And the pieces of taillight. Like, was there something that I don't know. I covered the case yesterday and I'm trying to think back now. Maybe somebody else knows. I have to think about that, Gus. I gotta think about that. Yeah, as in like, are you gonna answer the question? Like, that's how I read it, was like, You going to answer what I asked? Like, because he's trying to get a feel of like, what is it that you want here? Like, is this just a fucking game for you or what? Like, why did Higgins call her? Are you coming? He said, that's John. He said, are you coming? Are you coming here? Because they were all at the bar together. So he was asking if they were coming there. But Eva, thing is if you don't have the context behind them, they become not shady when you get the context of it, right? Like, so you have to have the context of like why certain things were said or done, or like once you get the context, it's not shady anymore. Like you, like people can say it's shady. He threw out his phone at the army base. Well, it's not shady when the man throws his trash out there every time he throws trash out because there's no trash pickup. And that's not the first time he's thrown trash out there. He does it all the time. And it wasn't just a phone in a bag. It was his trash. Like, so again, you can take anything and make it shady that isn't really shady. Like my aunt has no trash pickup. I was saying this earlier in her town. I tell her to come bring it here, dump it here. Like I have a dumpster, dump it here. Like it's not shady when you get the context of the context says he has no trash pickup in his town. They have to use a dump, which they have to pay for, but he can just dump it on the army base for free. So he does. That wasn't the first or last time he dumped his trash there. Oh, the assembly? Was it the assembly? They took the taillight assembly out to preserve the evidence, which I said forever ago. They probably took it out to preserve the evidence. People are like, no. And I'm like, okay. If they leave it on the car and they have to put the car out in a lot somewhere, like it could be like damaged. So yeah, that's to preserve evidence. Hey, that's okay. Sometimes we're, listen, I haven't had coffee yet. So like, I'm surprised I haven't been like complain mode, and I'm hangry because I need to eat something too soon. But like, listen, me too. Little went by herself. Did she? I was talking to you guys, but I was also out at the bus stop. So the sun was in my eyes a little, and I was trying to do both. Wait a second. What do you, I think you have something confused. What do you mean? Higgins called John from Fairview. What was shady about Higgins calling John? They were friends. You know that, right? No, I think the was, are you going to answer the question? Like the thing that he had asked her that she was sort of avoiding asking. Like, I think that was him being like, you're going to answer the question? Like, because she had done it before. The bottom of a plastic bucket. A plastic bucket. Well, not some places do, but some towns don't. It's a taxpayer thing, so you'd have to pay to, like, some smaller towns don't have trash collection, so you have to go to a dump and dump it yourself, but you have to pay for a sticker. Goes in certain areas. It's a pain in the freaking ass. Like, so you gotta wait in a line. Like, it goes city by city or town by town. So some places do, like my city does. I just live in a complex, so I have a dumpster, but like you have to pay for their bags. Like it's like $1 a bag, and they're real shitty, small, and like ripped. So, well, that's the thing. She didn't like, there was other times in the text chain where like she would ignore answering a question he was asking, and it pertained specifically to what did she really want out of this? And so he asks sort of that question, and then she doesn't respond. So he's like, you're gonna answer? Like, like what? You realize that she also would text him after not texting for days, right? Like, so it, again, context matters, right? Like they didn't text every day. Sometimes she would text him after not texting for days, or sometimes he would. So this wasn't something abnormal with the fucking 12 days they talked to each other. Like this was something that happened before. So, right, right. Which we obviously know isn't true, but yeah. They never, no, she kissed him though. And again, you guys have to remember, you want to paint him in a bad light. She went out of her way to lie to someone to get his phone number to text him. He didn't initiate the contact with Karen Reed. Karen Reed went out of her way to lie, get the phone number for someone else to say she had lost it. She already had it, and then text him. You know what I mean? Like, context matters here. Like, I wish Florida does it like that in some towns, but again, it's city to city, town to town. Like, you know, yeah, see, that's crazy. That's a lot. That's crazy. Fly tipping a problem. Right. Yeah. Property taxes usually pay for it here, but either way, again, it goes city by city, town by town. Like, you know, no, they were not married. Still cheating, but yeah, they weren't married. Yeah, yeah, property taxes. Right. We're like, didn't you just say like he was cheat? Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. No, because she would have known that previously. She wouldn't. It wouldn't have been a surprise to her that he was there. She would have known because Brian and Higgins went to a funeral. So like John knew and Karen would have known who they were meeting up with. So they would have known. She would have known he was going to be there. No, I think they argued about Fairview because she did not want him going in there with Higgins in there because Higgins could have possibly spilled the beans that Karen kissed him and has been texting him and should have been caught. Again, Higgins didn't go out of his way to get her number and talk to her. She lied to someone and said she lost it to get his number to text him. She initiated that contact. He did not. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't going to try to ruin a relationship. That's why he was asking her, like, what is it that you want here? Like, is this like what are we going to do about this? Like, are you breaking up or like what? Like, this is the famously replaced carpet, right? Thanks, Eva. I appreciate you. I mean, the context matters, Eva. It does. It matters. Like, I'm not sure where you heard that, J Rock, that he played it on the Ring app because Karen knew where the cameras were. It wasn't on camera. Yeah. Weird. Like the fact that she did that. But I don't know where you got that information, J Rock, but that's not true at all. That would be false. The double dip. Oh my God, you guys kill me. The double dip. I can't. You guys freaking kill me. The double dip. Listen, context matters, okay? Again, like I said earlier, you can take anything out of anyone's text chain. You can take anything out of an email. You can take anything someone did lonesome by itself and make it sound nefarious in any way that you want. Anyway, try doing it. I'm serious. Like test theory. Also, did anybody do the test that I gave you guys last time, which was like put 5 people in a text chain or a group chat and make something up that sounds really embarrassing about yourself or your dog or whatever, and see how fast that gets out to other people. Seriously. Still start making me thirsty. No, that's not what happened. That's not what the testimony said. Again, you can't put words in people's mouths. That is not what was said. Pretzels are making me thirsty. Dude, I'm telling you, I literally was saying this the other day and I was like, all right, now I need to order chicken palm. And then like I need to make a picture and a sign that says this is not mediocre chicken palm. If it's not mediocre, like I mean, this is better than mediocre chicken palm. Like, no, that's not what. Again, in order to, you can't take words out of people's mouths and you can't assume what people are saying. I'm saying that saying that John watched it on a video, that was never said. That has never been reported in anything that John watched it in a video. So again, we're going to be throwing words in people's mouths. So I didn't say it wasn't testified to. I'm saying it wasn't like nobody said he watched it in a Ring video. That never happened. Like, so watch it. I cover it every day and watch it. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I cover it every single day. And every day I cover the trial and I watch it with most people here. And we like Seinfeld. I mean, a lot of people go to D&E. It's good business there. Like, picture, hold on. Proctor. Well, he didn't hold on to them in the backseat of his car. Like, they're in evidence. They're in evidence, right? Like, they're in evidence. And usually they don't get submitted until the DA says, like, hey, submit those for testing or whatever. Like, you get, like, that stuff all goes through. All right, hold on. Yep. Yep. That's exactly what happened. Oh, okay. This is what we're talking about. This plastic piece here. All right, hold on. This looks like could be part of the. I don't know. I don't know if it's part of the taillight, maybe like inside or the glass. I don't know. They don't. Oh yeah, wait. There's a measurement right here. Hold on. I'm trying to see. I was like, I don't know how big this is. These are going fast, too fast now. Yes, John. No, hold on. I gotta go up now because you guys are going too fast. Yeah, she said she knew where the cameras were. Yes, but there's like there's no. Thank you. Yes, leaving exactly the video of him leaving. She knew where the cameras were. That was the whole point, to establish the fact that she knew where the cameras were. Hence why it wasn't on video. You guys are interpreting it wrong. Like, I don't know what this is, Gus. I'm like looking at it and I'm like, I can't. Like, it's small because they have the ruler there and it's, let's see, one, two. It's not huge, that's for sure. But at the same time, I can't tell from this picture. Like, is it the inside of like the tail light, like the clear part, or is it the glass? Like, what are we? I don't know. It looks more plastic to me than glass, obviously. And there's like a piece off to the side here and another piece over here. I don't know. Not really sure. Oh, wait, this says 2923. So maybe this is one of the pieces that they recovered from the scene later on. Because remember, they did recover other pieces later on. It's possible. I mean, obviously, it's not 100% round because there are like pieces that have broken. But I don't know. I'm thinking it's got to be. I just can't. Like, this is like bad fucking picture. Just like, come on, Canton PD or state police, whoever took the fucking picture. It does almost look like the bottom of like a takeout, you know, those like plastic takeout things that you get with like miso soup, you know what I mean? Like at like a Chinese restaurant. Like that's kind of what it looks like. But then again, it's like, is it glass? Is it plastic? I don't even know. Like, I'm not sure like what it is. Like, yes, you did. She also said because she knew where the cameras were that she's not an idiot. The whole point is it's not on camera. That's the whole point. That was the establishment of her having the access to them. It's not huge, that's for sure. That's what she said. It's not. It's not anywhere in court. It's not. The whole point was to establish that she knew where the cameras were, and that's why it's not on camera. Like, um, oh, I don't have the timestamp. I just have the picture. Can I see that? This. It says 2/9 though. 23 though. So that's another thing. Like, where did it like? I don't know. It sort of, you can't tell if it's like plastic. I don't think it's glass. I think it's plastic, but I'm not sure what the fuck this is. Like, is this supposed to be piece from the inside of the taillight housing? Like, what is this? Like, it's not clear. It is not. No, yeah, there definitely is, but there's a lot of really good people in Canton. Like, really good people. There's a lot of really good people that live there. Like, there is no subject change. We're going over everything that are in these comments. What do you mean? Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's true to some point. The algorithm's going to kick out whatever most people are watching and sharing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So they didn't have. They're a small town, so they didn't have the real like evidence bins. But the next best thing you can use when it comes to evidence is any brand new plastic container. And so what they did was they got brand new thing of Solo cups from the neighbor, and they used those because that's the only thing they had, and they thought it was important to collect that blood. So the next best thing they had was that, and also evidence is collected in plastic for a reason. And then they also do use paper bags, so they got a paper bag. So it's like, yeah, they didn't have like what in like a city, like if you went to the city of Boston, they would have all that. Like, Canton hadn't had a homicide in like 30 years or something like that. Like, some of those guys on the force had never seen one in the whole entire time they had been on the force. Like, so like they didn't have that. And imagine the waste. We found out, what was it, like, what did we say? It was like 1,200. What was it for 100 evidence bags or something like that? Like, they would have had wasted all that money, and the townspeople would have been like, why are we wasting thousands of dollars on this kind of stuff that we don't have this kind of crime? Like, so it's like, damned if they do, damned if they don't. And they know that the state police have to take over at some point. So what the state police did was they were like, hey, good job. Thank you for putting it in some sort of plastic, because that's what we needed. But we're going to transfer it now from what you put it in to what we use. And that's what they did. Like, you can question whatever you want. I don't need to go back. I watched it in real time. I also know some things that you don't. I don't, you can question whatever you want. That was never a thing that said he saw a kiss. That didn't happen. So again, if you guys want to like put words in people's mouths and interpret things, like, you don't get to decide what they meant. Right? Like, that's not how it works, unless you know the people personally and they can tell you what they meant. Like, other than that, that's not the way it works. Like, it was said very, very clearly that she knew where the cameras were, and that is why there's the camera of him leaving, but there's no camera of them kissing. Karen specifically said, what do you think, I'm stupid? I know where the cameras are. Like, of course it's not. Like, that was the whole point, is that it's not on camera. That was the point to be made, that she's the one who knows where the cameras are, have control of the cameras, and that's why it's not on camera. It's literally the point. Like, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, pretty much. Pretty much. You can question my coverage, but I know more than pretty much anyone covering this case. So, and if you know me in real life, which some people do, like Mary, obviously Lindsay, Randall, if you know me in real life, you know, like it's, I don't have to, there is no question. Like, yeah, yeah, exactly. And it ain't me. We were all here for that, right, Bree? Like, we were all here for that. We watched that intently. Yeah, I mean, bad police work can be bad police work, which is fine, but that doesn't make someone innocent or guilty, whether it was bad police work. Like, bad police work doesn't mean it was a conspiracy. And they're taking it like, oh, well, this is shitty work on purpose. It's a conspiracy. That's no. Like, I've never seen, mind you, never, not once have I ever seen a police report that didn't have a mistake in it. Not once. And so I question some of these law tubers who are like, all these mistakes. Like, you're going to tell me that any of the ones that you've seen have, like, what? What do you mean? Like, you know damn well that there is no, like, there was no, sorry, I lost my train of thought. My phone was going off. Um, yeah, it's a little crazy. What do you mean? I'm confused as to this question. Why neighbor? Why not the house they in? They weren't in a house. What do you mean? The cops, nobody had woken up from the house yet from 34th area. They went and woke up a neighbor because he was a cop. He was a cop that they knew of. And his last name was Kelleher, and he lived like diagonally across the street. So the first thing they were like, oh, hey, maybe if anybody would have something appropriate, he would. And so they went over there and they woke him up. And they got it. That's why. No, because that's what you would use. If you didn't have what they have, you would use a plastic cup that is literally like sterile, like clean, like brand new. That's what they did. They used a brand new plastic cup to hold this evidence in. They did the next best thing they could. They adapted. That sometimes you got to adapt on the job. It's life. So where some people might not think it's proper, it doesn't make it a conspiracy. Like, oh my God, they no fucking way. Solo cup bearings. I fucking can't. I literally can't. I literally can't. Like, test it for what? Like, what are they testing it for? Like, well, J Rock, I happen to talk to people and do this thing called research and corroborate things. So, like, yeah, it's all contaminated. How is it all contaminated? It's all one person's blood. Contaminated with what? What's it contaminated with? I'll wait. Like, what's it contaminated with? Yeah, there can. It could be asshole police and still not be corrupt. It's life. Like, bingo. Sure. All right, here's an idea. How about you say less and save face? Because when it's over, you're not going to be the one who is right. Sorry to tell you. Like, sorry. It's not. And say I know everything, but I know a lot more than you do. That's for damn sure. I'm lost on so many facts, honey. I've been covering this case for over a fucking year. If anybody's lost on facts, it ain't me there, lovey. Not saying people from all over are idiots, but you have to have context. So you're shocked at something this corrupt could happen. But what was corrupt? Someone told you it was corrupt, so it's corrupt. Because that's what we're working with right now. Is someone said it's corrupt because I said so, but there's evidence to show otherwise. It's being shown in court right now. So this whole everybody's shocked and up in arms about how something this can happen so corrupt. The FBI investigated, and 90 something percent of their 3,500 pages was of everything the witnesses already told that they corroborated. And then they were able to say in open court that the witnesses are under no investigation. They are not targets of any investigation. Is that not enough for some people to show you the FBI even investigated and found no conspiracy? Like, it's called logic and critical thinking. Like, if you want to keep believing there was a conspiracy, sure, pull all these little things out and put them in your conspiracy box, dude. But there's no conspiracy. So they don't have to be sterile. They're brand new. That's all they needed to have was brand new. You think that they're all sterile when they use them in the field? They're not all sterile. Sorry to tell you. But the only person's blood who was on scene is John's. There was no indication it was anyone else's blood because it was in the same spot as his body. So, and also they have his shirt, they have his pants. Like, you have somebody screaming, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Like, what was in the property of a cop already? What, like, I don't even know what you mean. Like, what do you mean they were on the property of a cop already? Because they were on 34 Fairview, they should knock on his door? They didn't know him. He was a Boston cop. The guy across the street was a CPD cop. So, like, they didn't obviously know him as well as they knew the guy across the street. Like, and whether they decided to knock on that door or that door to get solo cups, again, that doesn't equate to a conspiracy. So, like, again, critical thinking, like, critical thinking. You'd have to ask the police why they decided not to do certain things. Obviously, there's a reason. Like, it's one person's blood because it was in the same one area. There's no dripping going anywhere else. There's no, like, what do you mean? It's from where John's wounds were, from where his body is. So, and they did test the one on, oh God, was it the shirt? They did test somewhere to find what was on the shirt or whatever, and it's John's blood. So I do know that for a fact. So they have that. So if he's bleeding on the vomit, so they test it, they have that, like, DNA of that, like, right. If they had gotten, exactly. If they had gotten that, you'd be saying, like, and if he had come out of the house, people would be saying, well, he was crossing over the crime scene. He was taking things to the crime scene. He's just trying to cover for himself. So whether he came out of the house or didn't come out of the house, it would fit into the conspiracy hat in one way or another. Let's get real here, right? Like, he didn't come out of the house because he was sleeping. Nobody in the entire neighborhood came out. So this whole theory of, well, why didn't they come out? Well, the theory of that would, if they would have woken up, then the people on the property line where John was should have woken up too then, in theory. No one woke up. No one came outside. No one in the entire neighborhood. Like, what do you mean? Like, so why does it have to be, it's a random explanation because you said it's a random explanation? Like, that's the problem here, is you want to fit into a conspiracy that just doesn't fit. Like, but you're not using logic. You can't sit here and say you're using logic. Karen's the only one who could have deleted the ring cam footage. What happened there? Does her infotainment system in her car lie? I just want to know. Asking for bread. Does her phone data also lie? Does his phone data lie? Like, DNA text tests the DNA, and they talked about it yesterday. Just so we're clear here, they talked about where they swabbed the shirt. No, it's not. And again, you can correlate it with corruption if you want, but it's not corruption. So, like, there's a big difference between corruption and and just different protocol, different stations, different cities, smaller towns. Like, I mean, you can have a problem with the way it was collected or handled, but it changes absolutely nothing in this case whatsoever. It changes none of her car data. It doesn't change her phone data. It doesn't change his phone data, that he never went in the house. It doesn't change any of that. It doesn't change the steps happened before he ever arrived in front of 34 Fairview. It doesn't change any of that. None of it. Doesn't change what the witnesses all testify. It doesn't change any of that. So, like, that's fine. You can have a problem with the way that it, they collected or handled evidence, but what does it change? What does it change? Does it change any of the other evidence? Do the data, the phone data, the car data? Like, does it change any of that? Does it change any of what the witnesses saw or heard? No, it doesn't. Like, it's because you want it to be shady. And you haven't seen the evidence one after another. You're in this bubble of everyone's a liar. And because they're lying, because I think they're lying. You say they lied. What did they lie about? There's no evidence they lied. And a matter of fact, the FBI found no evidence that they lied. So I guess you're smarter than the FBI then, huh? I guess the whole freaker and Reed movement's smarter than the FBI then. I mean, I don't know. Like, no, it doesn't. It's not contaminated, but you can go with that if you want. That is false. The FBI put out a statement that very day when the lawyer stood up there and said that, put a statement out that very day to all the news stations saying that is not at all what was said. So, no, once again, they did not give them evidence saying they can't in good conscience allow it to go ahead because A, it did go ahead, and B, the DOJ had to put out a statement that very day because the attorney said that to literally say they didn't say that. So what do you mean? Like, bingo. They tested the shirt. That's how we know there's no damn dog DNA because it was tested. They tested the shirt. It is John's blood. Like, what do you mean? Like, clearly more educated than you. Because Bev, did you really just say that? Because Bev refused to delay it? The FBI themselves made a statement to multiple news organizations saying, hey, those attorneys misrepresented. That was never said. So the FBI lied then? Sorry to burst your bubble, Nick, but in that 3,500 pages that the judge and everyone else got, there was no conspiracy or corruption. All they bitched about was things that they thought the cops could have done or should have done better. That was it. There was no conspiracy. There was no corruption. As a matter of fact, they corroborated almost everything the witnesses had told them with real life evidence. The trial went on because of that. The FBI never said we can't in good conscience. The attorney, the defense said that, and then the FBI had to put statements out that very night to news organizations to correct it. Yeah, apparently. It definitely is, Eva, a calling for the right people. It is. I do. I want to, believe me. But I have children and one with a very severe medical issue, and you know, no, it wasn't his jurisdiction. He should have been nowhere near that scene. Like, he was smart to stay in the house, but even when he was woken up, there was a cop at the bottom of the stairs to talk to him because he was woken up. So literally, like, the cops know he was woken up because they came down the stairs to talk to the cops half awake. Like, no, I'm not. If I mean, That's literally how they do it. Are you like, are we questioning the way that professionals do their own job? Like, that's the way they do their own job. Like, yeah, nope, none. And it's stated numerous times in court. So like none. No one, they're under no FBI investigation. They have been, they're not a target. Like, I don't know why, if that's like so hard for people to understand, but it was already stated in open court. Like, oh, stop it. Colin wasn't even on the scene, dude. Stop it. He wasn't even there. She was the only one who could have it. You're going to tell me what? John had access to it while he's laying in the yard? His phone never moved from the time that he was hit until the time they found him. So from 12:30, whatever, until 6, his phone never moved out of where he was in that yard. So who outside of John could delete that footage? If that phone never moved, no one else has access to it but Karen. No one else has the access. And FYI, Jen didn't delete her calls and search. She only deleted things with her daughters that she was allowed to. And everything else is the defense using different files to like muddy the waters. So when the Celebrite expert gets up there and explains all of it, come back to me then and be like, oh shit, Elise, you were right. My bad. Like, or just don't say anything. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Celebrite expert's going to clear all that up. Right, sure. Whatever you say. Again, you guys want to keep believing the conspiracy theory. That's on you. That's on you. Again, not saying that they had the best investigation, but it doesn't equal a conspiracy. It just doesn't. They should, yeah, the microscopic pieces of taillight in his although I take issue with them calling them microscopic when they're like 1/8 of like, I don't know. Either way, they're there. Like, yeah, exactly. They weren't deleted. Your phone decides what it's going to put in the back and what it's not. The software does that. And the guy from the company who does that software is going to testify to all of that. Right. No, they didn't. Oh, they could have absolutely done all of that. And they probably could have gotten acquittal easily. But instead, they did this. Like, right. See, here's the funny part about it. It's not my idea. It's truth. And you can't change truth, right? So mine's not an idea. Mine's the real life truth. I'm not calling all a liar. I'm calling all people who want to believe in a conspiracy who are ignoring the evidence in front of them non-critical thinkers. Because if you can't see what's in front of you and you have an excuse for every piece of evidence that everyone's just a liar and everything is all corrupt, that's a problem. Answer me, who else had access to that ring cam? No one. Why was it deleted from the time she would have arrived back to show her taillight until the time she left? Why is her phone data put him and her in the same place when he was hit? She leaves. His phone never leaves again from that spot. Her infotainment system tells a story as well. That'll be a good one. Like, yeah, the FBI must be in on it too, right? Like, must be. Has to be. The police work might, but I just think the other evidence outweighs any little thing that you could say, like, that you didn't like about the investigation. Like, yeah, that's another thing. The Nightline interview. So they don't have jurisdiction on it. What do you mean they're two different cases? The state police have jurisdiction over a homicide. What do you mean they're not two different cases? If you're talking about the FBI, like, what do you mean they're two different cases? One's a state, one's the FBI. The FBI themselves have already said the witnesses are under no investigation. They're not under investigation. They're not a target of any investigation. I know that's hard for you to swallow, but it's the truth. And in the Nightline interview, tell me why she says that she knows she damages the taillight, but she doesn't get out and look at the damage. So how do you know there is damage if you don't get out and look at it? How do you know you cracked a taillight if you never look at the damage? You don't. Yeah, 0 targets. There are no targets. And I'll tell you why, because they didn't find anything. You can choose not to believe me, but you're going to be upset later on. Oh, absolutely. Thanks, Mary. Thank you. False. They did send clothing. That's false. They allowed their attorneys. They spoke to their attorneys and allowed these attorneys to say in open court and okay with the judges okay that they were under no investigation. It's not ongoing. I'm sorry to tell you, little Irish girl. It's done. It's done. It's been done. They found nothing. They found no corruption. They found no conspiracy. It's over. Agreed. Yeah, weird, huh? Weird. Question that, you know? The only reason Proctor is having any sort of IA investigation is because they have to now because of all the publicity and all the false, assertions on him. Like, stop it. I can't. The charges were upped because of the action she took after. That's why. But it was the grand jury that decides on upping the charges. I need new contacts, I think. True. Yes, the grand jury is the one that votes to up the charges or not. Afternoon, Ellen. No, absolutely not. 100%. Again, we're talking about things that came from the world of the defendant that was fed to someone else. Like it's not rocket science. I'll tell you how long. 0, because that's not going to happen. Sorry. I'm sorry. You'll be waiting for the next 10 years. Like, it's going to be any federal indictments. The witnesses are just that, witnesses. So if you still believe that any of these witnesses are going to be arrested for a crime that they didn't commit, you'll be waiting until the end of time. She did brick one of her phones before handing it over. She also tried to wipe it. Right? He must have, right? That's what happened. Must have. Even though he was pretty much gone when they found him. So, like, yeah, he waited all the way till 5 a.m. and, deleted everything between 1 and 5 a.m. It had to have been deleted after that because what was deleted was between 1 and 5 a.m. Just so everybody knows. Again, they weren't deleted. And again, the cell of right expert will clear all that stuff up. Right. Canton Triangle, because it's just all a conspiracy. I cannot. I love you, Anastasia. Maybe so, but Ian Whiffen is going to explain why the defense is reading the data incorrectly and on purpose incorrectly. Listen, not for nothing, but some of you are in my group chats, right? Like I've literally probably butt dial a group chat, and mind you, my phone has a lock on it. Like, so I still don't understand how it happens. I have to punch in a code, like, and I still have managed to group chat Facebook with a video chat at least once every couple days, and still somehow butt dial at least one freaking person a day. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I use my phone a lot. I don't freaking know. But it's not all the realm. Like the other day, three separate people at three separate times, but dialed a video chat in a Facebook group that we have. Like three of us on the same day. Like it happens, bro. Especially if one of you calls the other, like it literally. The feds No, the feds don't. They would make their own indictments. There was a federal grand jury, though. You can't get things I've seen. You'll see them in trial. Why would the DA give me stuff? It didn't make any sense. You can't see to. It's that simple. You can't. I tell people about stuff right before it's about to happen. That's how. DA. Talk to the DA a day of my life. No. I'm not even going to argue about the data because I'm just going to let the Celebrite expert explain all of it. And then that's that. Like, literally. Like, there are thousands of pages of court docs available, and I've literally read every single one. Like, the dog did it, right? Spin the dog with no dog DNA. Of course he can. What do you mean? Of course he can say with 100% certainty whether it happened or not, because you can't use it a DB wall file as a timestamp for a Google search when it's a timestamp for a tab. So of course he can say for 100% certainty that the search didn't happen at that time. He can say the search happened at a different time where the timestamps actually show what time that happened, but he absolutely can say that it did not happen at that time because that's for a tab, not for a Google search. They're four different things. Probably a lot of us, I'm guessing. I know some of you have read the pre-trial motions because you went through them with me. So Ian will flop. Okay, sure. Bingo. Nightline, yeah. I love snow, actually. You can keep wondering because I'm not giving up my sources. So unfortunately, I don't know who you are. You don't know who I am. That's fine. You can choose to believe what you want. It's that simple. No, you're not seeing it all. Unfortunately, that's not happening. That's up to the labs and the DA. It doesn't really matter when they did it as long as it was done. I always forget you're in different time zones. Yeah, I don't know who does it. That's in his drunkenness. That's what pisses me off, though. That's more victim blaming. Like, come on, dude. So the defense has never lied. We're just gonna ignore all the lies the defense has told thus far. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Like, come on. Why did they? Because their friend died. What do you mean? To stand together just because they were being harassed does mean they shouldn't go to them? They should allow people to bully them into not going. And there was some that they didn't go to. Like, that's disgusting. I'm sorry, but that's disgusting. I'd be the person that goes anyway. You want to know why? Because I'm not going to allow people to bully me into not going. Screw that. Like, screw that. I mean, I actually like Bob Motta. That's the thing that I don't like. Like, I like Bob Motta. I just don't. I mean, the problem is he was early on with Aiden on this, and I think he just took whatever Aiden said, and that was that. And so it's like, come on, Bob, you're a smarter person than that. I know you are. I know he is. Like, I know Bob Motta is. Like, yeah, I don't know, probably a while. Norfolk, no, Norwood. It's Norfolk County DA. They absolutely would have been indicted already. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So I've been saying that, Jennifer, where it's like juries don't like that either. Like if you do any jury research, juries don't like a pick one anyone, right? They don't want to pick one anyone. Like any one of these people could have done it. They don't like that. They want to know, like, if you're going to have a third party defense, like who you think did it if your client didn't. Like, no, they don't legally have to prove. But if you want a jury, right, to find your client not guilty, then you need to give them someone you think did this. That's what they need to know. Like, legally speaking, no, the defense doesn't have to prove anything. But like, any good attorney knows what you have to do in order to get your client off. Like, come on. It is the DA that calls a grand jury. Or in some cases, a special prosecutor that calls a grand jury. Yeah, I do that all the time, unfortunately. Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Celebrate must be in on it too, right? Like they're in on it too. It's like a whole, like, just throw. I mean, I'm in on it, didn't you know? Like I made that list. Like, oh my God, I did that the other day. I literally did that the other day. I literally, oh, I sleep dial because I keep my phone in the bed. I've done that one. I did that. Oh, I think the last one I did was like a month ago though, and it was my oldest daughter, and she's like at her boyfriend's house screaming at me through the phone, like, "Mom, mom!" Out like a light. I must have moved over the phone, and I don't even know because it unlocked and called, so I have no idea. Like, oh my God, right? When my little was little, like too little, like she just would press buttons. Like I'd put a video on for her to like learn like ABCs, like because they have the interactive ones, and somehow she would get into like other stuff, and she would like one time almost dialed 911 because there was like a button on the bottom of that one that would be like emergency call. They don't. They don't. They don't. They really don't. Okay. Once again, I don't think people are like, you're not understanding. Nobody is saying Celebrate is wrong. Nobody said that. They're saying the defense's interpretation of reading the data is wrong. Not Celebrate is wrong. The way the defense is reading the data is wrong. Like, I mean, those are two very distinct, different things. Oh my God. Imagine I've accidentally banned people I didn't mean to because like there was like a troll or something that I like put in timeout, and like someone wrote a comment like right when I was doing it, so it went up and did the next person. And oh, I've done that before. So if that ever happens to you accidentally, email me, because like once it does it, I don't even realize who was underneath, and it happened. Like it's stupid. I've done it before. I have done it before by accident, obviously. Like once again, nobody said Celebrate was wrong. It's the way they're reading the data. Two different things. Right? That's one smart goddamn pup. Like one goddamn pup. I do love that name as well. Eva. Eva, or some people say it Eva. No, because Ava would be an A, but Eva. It's a pretty name. Too bad I didn't think of it when my kids were born, because it is a very short, pretty, cute little name. I mean, he might have ran to the store, bought the solo cups, came back, was like, here you go, guys. Like, I'm sure they do. Nobody's arguing that Celebrate's wrong. They're arguing that the data is being read wrong. Yeah. I mean, again, it's the data. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Let's hopefully my mods don't pocket mod. Pocket mod, please, guys. She might have been. It's one smart goddamn German Shepherd. Like, it might usually be. I mean, listen, I'm sure there's been prosecutions and defenses all over the country that have tried that. You know? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Not happening. Not a thing. I don't do that. It's not a fucking thing. But the people who do know me know, like, I'm spot on. I know what the fuck I'm talking about, dude. I'm not making shit up out of my asshole. I mean, yeah, they definitely do bend truths. No lying about that. Like, they definitely do. I can't, I mean, it's just, it makes me sad, Jennifer. It makes me sad. Like, it just makes me really fucking sad. Like, it's shitty for the witnesses. It's shitty for anybody that's to deal with those idiots. Like, it's just shitty. Okay, I'm going to repeat this again in slow motion so you can understand. No one in the case is disputing Celebrate was wrong. They're disputing the way the Celebrate data is being read. Got it? Two different. Are you understanding? It's literally two different things. The Celebrate data can be right and someone can be reading it wrong. She rehomed herself. Funny too, because she was rehomed because the son that had gotten her was in the military and they were downsizing to a condo. So they couldn't bring the dog to the condo. And so they had to rehome the dog. And also the dog wasn't getting along with other dogs. They didn't want to have to deal with that and find like the place they were going to didn't accept dogs like that. Not big ones. Like, correct. I mean, I feel like I have to say it 75 fucking times. People still don't get it. Like, I think the defense has pretty much presented their damn case, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, they definitely have. You can say they haven't presented it in court yet, but they definitely have presented it in about 700 other ways. Like, and they're doing it still with the cross examination. So it's the way the data was read, not Celebrate itself. Yeah, of course. That's exactly what it was. Confusion, finger pointing, muddy the waters, like tell the public a bunch of shit. When they realize some of it's not true, they'll still stick with us because they'll just think it's a conspiracy. Like, what do you mean? I'm in the conspiracy now. It's like 50, 60. And then when people are like, well, it's not that many people. That's not it. It's only a couple. If you're going to argue that it's only a couple of people, okay, then those couple of people would have had to talk to every other witness who corroborates the story in order to get all their stories straight. So it can't just be 4 or 5 people. If everyone else's story matches theirs, it has to be all of them. Like, hello, brain. Like, and they have misrepresented a lot of things in big ways, like in very big ways, to the point where the FBI had to come out and say, no, we definitely never said that we can't let this go to trial and go. That was never said. Like, they had to actually make a statement. You know, the FBI doesn't make statements, dude. They had to come out and make a statement to the damn news channels because of it. Like, come on. Oh, heels. We miss her dearly. We miss her. Oh my God. So funny. Oh my God. I remember that. I remember that. I The last time Heels did the pocket mod, I remember that. She was telling me about one time too, and I was like, dude, how is that even possible? Like, I mean, yeah, maybe they did go for like, yeah, it's very realistic that they could have looked for a way to misinterpret. I'm not that's what I'm saying. Like, they misinterpreted it, whether it's on purpose or by accident, probably on purpose. Like, wait, what happened? Did that really happen? Is that a thing? Did that actually happen? Oh, girl, that sounds delicious. I haven't had a scone in a long time, but that sounds really good. Oh, girls, did you bring enough for the class? I freaking love you guys. I freaking love you guys. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you're paying, 250,000 to one, 200 to another, plus other expenses. Yeah, absolutely. No, not all. One of them was paid by like crowdfunding, and one of them I think had to have been out of her own pocket because it wasn't enough. Well, mm, actually, you could argue that probably was. So I'd say like one and a half attorneys were paid by crowdfunding, and she had to pay like, you know, some of the other expenses for one of them. Okay. I feel like you're having a moment here. You're having a moment. You realize that there's like a first for everything. That's how precedents are set, right? Like, right? Like the defense is interpreting the Celebrate data wrong. The Celebrate expert has literally already alluded to this. I don't know what else to tell you other than wait for Ian Whiffen to get on the stand, debunk the nonsense. And then what are you going to say to me? You're going to say, he's in on the conspiracy. He's a liar too. Like, come on with it, will ya? Like, bingo. Spin and spin and spin. That's why they decided to use Turtle Boy, because he's good at just spinning shit. Yes, exactly. The tech can read it wrong. But in this case, their tech was probably purposely trying to read it wrong. They were looking for anything. No, it didn't just bite people. It bit someone, or we don't even know if it was a bite. The person got injured because they tried to break up a dog fight. So another person fell. One lady fell. She wasn't even hurt by the dogs. She like tripped and fell. And the other one tried to put their hands in the middle of two dogs fighting. So they aren't even sure which dog. She just got hurt trying to move the dogs apart. So I don't know if you can run around saying, "Oh, the dog bit people." Like the dog didn't just run up and bite people. Like it's not a thing, and that didn't happen. Like, true. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? It's like a thing. You didn't. He also says this. He does this thing where he's like, "You didn't see what you saw, and you didn't hear what you heard," because I said so. Like, it's a conspiracy, guys. It's a conspiracy. You didn't see what you saw. You didn't hear what you heard. Like, it just didn't happen. Like, murdered who? Known him for 2 fucking weeks. He wouldn't do that. Anybody see that stand-up comedy special? I think it was Cat Williams. That shit was hilarious. It was either Cat Williams or no, I think it was Cat Williams. It was pretty funny. Oh, absolutely. That's why she tells them, like, stop with the comments. Like, it's their little digs, like, on purpose. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, girl, I am jealous. Funny story. I did 23andMe because my mother's adopted, and I wanted to know more about my mother's biological family because of my daughter's really rare medical condition. So my husband bought me a 23andMe kit way back in like 2018 or 2019, somewhere around there. And I did it. Okay. Now I've always known that my dad, like my biological dad, is like straight off the boat Irish. My great grandparents were straight off the boat from Scotland and Ireland. And I found out that I am Irish, Congolesian, Portuguese, Puerto Rican, West African, and 1% Italian. 1%. So like I'm just a mutt. Just a mutt. Well, there you go. Maestro has the answer. Gonna sit with you, bro. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the glare is doing, dude. Wowza. Thanks, Maestro. 20 years for images he had. Oh, was it like CP? I hope not. It's just like, I hope. Jesus. Yeah, well, you do have strong genes. You do. 100%. So It says, and it tells you in the thing that like my family is from Galloway, and then the second one that they're from, it's Galloway's the first, and then, oh God, I have to open it and look at it, but I'm gonna get back to you on that because I know Galloway's the first one. This is the first thing that popped into my head. Like, I just came here to see who the idiot people are talking about. Okay, bye. Okay. I was monetized. I actually have to do a stupid 5-minute video to YouTube to be able to like fix the monetization. They have it on pause right now. Because one of the turtle idiots like reported it as like something that like other people cover. Okay, everybody's covering this, so that would mean you have to pause the monetization of every person covering the Karen Read trial. It's that simple. So like they require like a 5-minute video to be, so I have to do that. But I do have monetization. It's just paused at the moment. That's why we have, you know, the Cash App and the Venmo at the bottom. Like, it's more than appreciated. I am a very small channel. Like, they do though, and that's the problem. Like, it's the problem. Like, it's like, dude, facts are facts. You like can't argue facts. You can keep trying if you want. You can keep trying to move them around and fit the piece of the puzzle that you want them to fit, but that's not the way it works. You can't jam a puzzle piece in somewhere it doesn't fit, dude. It's just not the way it works. Like, I'm sorry, not sorry about that. Like, Galloway. Yes, she's, I mean, that's where it says on my 23andMe. Galloway is where like the most, and then the Azores for Portugal is where, and it's a teeny tiny island. The Azores is just a teeny tiny island. So. Well, people are confused, and that's kind of the problem, right? Like, they keep coming to me with ridiculous nonsense that isn't even true. Like, yeah, well, they are. They are. But again, you have to remember, even most of these people are doing it like for the clicks, the views, and the money and the donations because they're rolling in. Their numbers are going through the roof. Their donations are going through the roof. Like, so they could just keep saying free Karen Read, and that will keep happening, right? Like, they've seen numbers they've never seen before. I have to look myself in a mirror at night. I have to live with myself from what I know. I'm not going to sit here and say Karen's innocent when I know that's, from all the evidence I have, is not plausible, not by a long shot. Like, when that's another thing. Most people don't. I know plenty of people who I know for a fact know that this is a farce and they won't say a word because they're afraid. Like, it's that simple. Like, it sucks, but it's simple. Like, I also don't condone these people harassing the witnesses. The witnesses are not going to be charged with a crime. The feds did not find that they did anything wrong. They are not under any sort of investigation. So if you're holding your breath for that, you're holding it forever. It's not happening. Like, yes, I do. That's the thing. And I don't expect that like everybody's going to sit here and believe every word I have to say. Like, I hope that you see it find it yourself. Like, and no, the witnesses aren't on trial. Like, I hope you see it for yourself. You get to look and you see it for yourself on the trial. You know, when all the evidence is out, like, you get to go and look and be like, oh crap, like, what the fuck? Like, oh shit. Like, these witnesses, like, are people who speak out, like, there's no one deserves to be relentlessly harassed because turtle idiots don't agree with them. Like, I'm sorry, what? Did you all lose your critical thinking skills where you thought taking time out of your day to download a Text Now app and harass people and send them death threats and tell them terrible things about their children, and you think they're a terrible parent, and like all these things based upon nothing, based upon zero shreds of any sort of evidence? Like, what is wrong with you? Take a good look in the mirror, dude. Would you like it if the finger was pointed at you and you did nothing wrong and this is what happened to you? Because I'm going to tell you right now, karma is a goddamn thing. So if you do that to other people, expect that karma will bite you somehow, some way. And it might not be right now. It might not be a month. It might not be a year. It could be 5 years. But at some point, the world corrects itself. It course corrects. And that means if you put bad karma out into the fucking world, you're going to get bad karma back, dude. If you put good karma in the world, you will get some good karma back. Like, put good karma out, not bad karma. The universe will course correct on you, dude. Like, don't do shit you know is wrong. You're harassing people with no shred of evidence they did a goddamn single thing wrong other than someone else's say so. Stop it. Like, no one should ever be harassed. It's ridiculous. Listen, Peg O'Keefe, Paul O'Keefe, I say this all the time, they are rock stars, okay? Rock stars, absolute rock stars. Yeah, but some people don't know all that, Eva. They don't know clearly some of the stuff you do and some of the stuff I do. Like, I mean, they can protest all they want, but what you don't get to do is harass these family members, harass these witnesses, and defame the name of any of them. Like, it's wrong. Like, it's wrong. And karma will come for every single one of them. You put bad shit in the world, it comes back to you, dude. Like, come on. What? I would have laughed too. Instant karma. Some people do get instant karma, Ellen. Instant karma. Listen, if I lived in your country, I'd find you a roommate lickety split to help you out. That's just crazy. But that's instant karma though, right? Like, instant karma. And it does happen. I've seen instant karma. Like, don't be a shitty person, dude. Like, don't be a shitty person. Like, if you're doing it for clicks and views, like, maybe reevaluate. Like, you can listen. I know plenty of people who do YouTube as a job and plenty of people who make decent money doing it. But what they're not doing is sitting there and lying. Like, they do different kinds of content, but like, they're not going to sit there and lie to their audience just for clicks and views. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it's not like, maybe it's a thing for you people, but it's not a fucking thing over here. Like, anybody who has had the chance to speak out has lost. They haven't gained anything. So I love when people call them grifters. You're just a grifter. I just have to laugh at you. Like, I literally am pointing and laughing at you. Like, nope, that would have been following the money train and just continuing to say she was innocent. Yeah. You can't be grifting if you're losing. It's not a thing, right? It's not a thing. I'm sorry to tell you, but it's literally not a thing. I have a roommate you can have for free. Is it a 34-year-old toddler? Do you own a 34-year-old toddler or 35-year-old toddler? That's what I call my husband sometimes. Like, anybody want to borrow this 35-year-old toddler? Like, almost 35-year-old toddler? Exactly. It will catch you eventually. Some way, somehow. The universe just always course corrects. Always. Like, sometimes it's instant and sometimes it's not. I love seeing instant karma, though. Really, I do. Like, then maybe you shouldn't have been a shitty person 5 minutes ago if you didn't want the instant karma coming at you. Just fucking saying. Like, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, like, right now I'm getting messages that like something's happening on Twitter. Like, I don't even know what it is, but like something. Like, uh-oh. Oh man. You do? They do. They're like toddlers. You have a 45-year-old toddler? Yeah. You know what I mean? 50-year-old people can't boil water. I fucking love you guys. I just do. He's, I love him dearly. I love him to pieces. He's my 34-year-old toddler. It's just as bad as my kid. Like, I got one little and two teens, and like one of them is an adult. She's 19, and one of them is 14. And so, like, my teens don't want, like, they're not going to run around and play. My teens are teens. Like, they're, want to be with their friends or do the stuff that they like. And my little one, she's the one who's like running around making a mess. And like, I'm like, you're like her. You're like a 34-year-old toddler. It's fine. You're just making a mess that, I have to clean. And yeah, see, that's what I call him. I just call him my 34-year-old toddler. He's my 34-year-old toddler. Yeah, I mean, it's a cesspool right now. I don't blame you. I don't. Hey, I've been there too. On edge. I love it. I have 3 girls, so I'm screwed for life. 3. 3 girls, no boys. Just a 34-year-old toddler. All right, I've been with you guys for 3.5 hours. I'm gonna go. Because I soon got to get my bubble off the bus in like a half an hour anyway. So if anyone has a chance and can, this is the information for the donations. This is how you help the channel and myself. If you can, also like, you share, you send out the link, save it to other things, send it out on other platforms so that people can find it. Oh, 4 girls. Yeah, you're just as screwed as me. There's a ticker at the bottom that always shows the donation information. But I know it's small and people complain. They're like, it's so small, but I can't make it any bigger. Sorry. Yeah, well, my oldest still snuggles and loves me even though she's 19. So I'll take that forever and ever and ever. Like, I know it didn't feel like 3 hours. It never feels like 3 hours with you guys. Listen, I could be here for 6 and it doesn't even feel like that. It flies by because we just talk, right? Like, I love all 267 of you watching right now. I appreciate you all. Like, subscribe, make sure you do all that stuff. I'm thinking maybe we'll we have trial tomorrow, so we'll do that. But if I can, I couldn't last night because I was babysitting and it became too late by the time my daughter's friend was picked up. But maybe I'll try to do a little shorter one tonight, like an hour and a half-ish. But you guys will get the notification if you're subscribed anyway. So thank you guys, and I will see you all later.